bells of dirt church, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season, nothing rhymes with church, fa la 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 la. Don we now our trail apparel, fa la 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 la. Roll the buttery down and uphill, fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la.
Kia ora tātou, Meri Kirihemete. I'm Matt Raymond.
And I'm Eugene Bingham.
And I'm Andrew McDowall. Was that a bit rubbish?
This is Dirt Church Radio, the 2020 Thank God It's Christmas special. Dirt Church Radio. Episode 124.
We made it.
And we are special guests. We don't have a special guest. We are special guests in Andrew McDowall's studio.
Digicake.
Sweet. Does that mean I get to ask the questions?
Yeah,
No.
you can.
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
Just
No,
take
we
it
just
one
come
step
here.
at a time.
We just come here. We drink your whiskey, drink your Perrier, and raid the chocolate bowl.
Cheers, fellas.
Yeah.
Cheers.
But there's-
play your banjo, and that's not even a euphemism.
Yeah. No. There's a recorder sitting on the table. We've got everything.
It was literal.
Thank you for having us in your studio.
You're very welcome, Eugene.
Yeah.
And you're welcome too, Matt.
Thanks.
And you haven't said thank you.
So, I mean, are we the biggest people?
Size?
So, yeah.
Are you being ableist?
I mean, it's, like some celebs have come through this place.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be
Yeah.
honest, though, it's oddly normal in the sense that they're here to do a job.
Yes.
So they come in and they do their job and they leave. So
Unlike,
you
so
know.
I've been here for hours, mucking around, dressing up in Santa suits.
I did once have to do this super awkward one for Stan Walker, who came in for some stuff, and I said, I feel like a real loser, but could you do a shout out for my kids?
And did he?
It was totally. He did like a 1 minute piece to camera.
Oh, awesome.
He was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Full total.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, look, there's lots of amazing stuff here, but there is no cake at the Digicake Studios.
Oh, I forgot.
I actually
God damn
made a
it.
cake
Did
last
you?
night. Yeah,
And then you forgot it as well.
I did. I thought bringing a zucchini chocolate cake into the studio would have been a disaster.
But there is jingles.
That was
You
an
made,
amazing
you made a
jingle.
special Christmas jingle for
Yeah.
us. Can we play it again?
Deck the halls with boughs of dirt church, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season, nothing rhymes with church, fa la 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 la. Don we now our trail apparel, fa la 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 la. Roll the buttery down and uphill, fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la.
That is amazing. But you did miss something.
Oh,
There is something that rhymes with church.
Besmirch.
And
Merch.
Dirt Church merch.
Oh my goodness.
Dirt Church merch. This is our second attempt at capitalism.
It didn't come up on rhymer.com. I'm so
Dirt
disappointed.
Church merch wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
Did besmirch come up?
Probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that means.
Research.
I'm going to use you guys next time. Sorry.
Just ring me.
I'm not a words guy.
I don't get many calls. But look, buy our t-shirts. $39.95 plus $6 postage and packaging. And if you're
Aotearoa.
overseas, we'll work out a deal. They're flying out the door. They look cool. We're all actually wearing one at the moment.
Thanks, Freya, for the design.
Absolutely. Freya from Lagom Studios for the design. And amazing. So, yeah, that's our second attempt at capitalism. So,
So you just email dirtchurchmerch@gmail.com.
beautiful.
You could put that in a jingle.
dirtchurchmerch@gmail.com.
See? There you go. Wow. Look, we are going to
be
do
here all
things...
week.
All right, we are going to do things a little bit differently today, in case you haven't guessed that, because it's the last show of the year. And so we do have an interview. It's a cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan Jones.
And we recorded it last week. And Dan, if you don't know who he is and you've been living under a rock, he's a 3-time Kepler champion, and he's had a pretty remarkable year. How long was he in Kenya for?
5 months.
So he went for a 5-week training camp, and that turned into a 5-month stay. And we talked to him about all that and what it takes to win Kepler, his Olympic dreams, and I mean, talk about
We
Charteris.
put to him, I don't know if you saw, Paul Charteris on social media, on the socials, put out a prediction that he believes that Dan is the first Kiwi male capable of winning Western States.
Ooh.
Because he's got the speed. He's got the wheels. What do you reckon about that, Andrew?
As a speedster yourself.
You're a speedster.
No. I got 51st at Kepler. That's not a speedster.
277.
Oh, sweet bro. Cheers, man. Yeah. Okay, we can edit that.
But, he has got wheels. He's got wheels.
Think. So I guess you got to immediately think of Jim Walmsley, and you got to think of the time he did. What are we at? 14:08 or something around there. What do we reckon Jim can run a marathon in? Maybe 2:15ish. Maybe.
Yeah.
Dan's not far off.
Dan's
Yeah.
PB is 2:16.
So I know that doesn't necessarily translate, but as far as the wheels, man, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So
I hark back to Western Hill, who said there was, and it feels a little bit, and in the spirit that it was said, because I think the good thing about Kepler is people go and they throw it in super hard, and there's not this kind of swagger to anyone who's there. But Western Hill did say, there was Dan and everyone else.
Oh, it was ridiculous. And he was cruising.
And then you saw Scotty.
Yeah, he was working
So hard.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, we'll bring you that interview, but we're also going to catch up with Ruth Croft, the Queen, about her year. So she's stuck in isolation, basically couldn't avoid our call. So what are you going to say? I'm busy. I'm out that night. Yeah. So we'll talk to Ruth Croft. And we're also going to have a wrap-up of the year and look back at a few things. But first of all, Matt, how you been, man?
I can't wait for this year to be over.
Yeah?
It seems like, again, referencing Terence McKenna, how time seems to contract and expand. The 2 weeks since Kepler, they've been really good in some senses because I felt really relaxed. But I'm done with 2020 and I just want to get through it. And I know that it's kind of an arbitrary construct, but man, done. Ready to go. And so happy to be here and happy to be healthy. But let's just go. My plan is to take sedatives on New Year's Eve at about 5 o'clock just so I can pass out and then wake up in 2020, just get it over with,
Get it done with. Yeah. Wow.
How are you, Eugene?
I'm good, thank you. I'm not planning on taking sedatives. I'll
You're going to drug your way
I'll
to New
stick to the
Year's
Perrier,
like that?
thank you. Ching. But look, I had a weird experience, not weird experience because I wasn't involved in it, but there was a cool thing happened at Parkrun Hobsonville Point on Saturday because we can't have a Dish Radio episode without we talking about Parkrun. But anyway, I was running along, I was just going for a jog, and usually the leaders are sort of spaced out in front, there's sort of one or two of them. But this time, after the turnaround, there were four of them came back towards me. Three of them were talking amongst each other, and I thought, that's weird. What's going on there? Anyway, so afterwards I talked to the fourth guy who I knew, Barry, shout out to Barry, and he was hanging with them. And I said to him, dude, what was that about? What was going on? He says, oh, yeah. So we were going out to the turnaround. These three guys just sort of cruised away from me and didn't know who they were. And I thought, oh, okay, well, there they go. And then I caught up to them again. They were chatting away. And I went, oh, are you guys actually running Parkrun? And they went, yeah. Yeah, this is Eric. He won the Night of the 5Ks 5K last night in 13:32. He's just out for a cruise this morning. Oh, my God. Cool down jog.
And they were leading.
They were leading. They were like chatting like we do in the forest on a Sunday. So here's Eric Speckman, who was
14, eh?
Yeah, 13:32, and he's lined up at Parkrun the next day. So I said, did he win? And Barry went, no, we got to the end, and they all stopped and went, oh, hey, do you want the win? And he was like, no. And there was this awkward kind of like, no, you go. So they let him cross. So Barry won the race. Well, no, it's not a race. Sorry, Parkrun's not a race. But anyway, he came first, and Eric Speckman won the Night of the 5Ks the night before, third at Parkrun Hobby Point on Saturday.
It's incredible. It's like that Australian speed skater at the Winter Olympics. Have you seen that video?
Yeah.
Everyone else just eats shit and he like cruises in.
Yeah. Not quite,
But
but
that
I
happened
can see
in the
that.
semis for him as well, didn't it? It was the
It must have been it was a tactic. Just stay out of trouble. But there you go. Who turn up at Parkrun on a Saturday, you never know who you're going to beat.
13:32.
Yeah.
Really? 13:32.
Yeah, Julian Oakley came second. And Lydia O'Donnell, she was amazing in the women's, and she won that in 15:55.
Whoa.
Yeah. And she just had it to herself. She was just, I'm sad.
Man,
I'm
they
sorry.
breed
I
them
watched
fast
it.
over there, eh?
Yeah. But she didn't, I don't know, as far as I know, she wasn't a Parkrun on Saturday morning. She might have been. Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't the Parkrun race.
No. No. Parkrun Hobby Point was won in 19 something. Anyway,
wow. Okay, gotcha,
No, Lydia won the Night of the 5Ks. Anyway, Andrew, how about you?
How are you going, bro?
You're a sponsored athlete.
Oh, Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club, mate.
Two days ago. Yeah. We're cool like you guys. Yeah, good old Mike at Shoe Science up in Albany there in the Takapuna stores decided to, show some support and, he's sponsoring me and my endeavours going forward. So
nice.
I'm looking forward to giving them a lot of shout-outs and races and throwing some merch on and singing their praises. It rhymes!
Oh, yes. I hear a jingle coming on. No, that's awesome. And how else have you been?
Good. I was running good on Kepler with you chaps, as you well know. And it was a bit stink, having a great morning. About 20 metres from Luxmore Hut, I managed to tear my right calf.
Did you actually feel it go?
It popped. Yeah, and I felt my whole body do like a shake. And I thought, it's not good. But I knew that if I stopped, then I'd never be getting up again.
Yeah.
So I thought, look, just turn around that cone. And when they said no gear check, I thought, oh yes, because I can keep going. I don't need to stop.
Yeah.
And it was awful for the rest of the entire race. But then the sort of that flat bit before you hit the tree line was just a hobble and it was awful. But I sort of thought, just finished the darn thing, and it made for a tough day, but it was still obviously wonderful to be there. And so 2 weeks later, which was a few days ago, I managed to go for my first run, and it appears to have completely sorted itself out. So fingers crossed that all is going well.
I mean, here's to actually disciplined recovery.
Oh man, and we did an 8-day camper van trip after the race in beautiful spots in South Island. All I could do is look at these beautiful trails, take it on. This is awful.
Taunting you.
Never mind.
Oof.
Had beer instead. That went just
good,
fine.
Man. I mean, this is the thing though. Like, I think we really, and if we go into 2021, hopefully what we've worked out, and hopefully one of the things that I've worked out is that everything in its turn. You know, like and Stephen Fry said it. He's like, people who just are so dedicated to one thing and then they get to heaven, and he said, like St. Peter's like, did you have that cocaine I sent down for you? Like, and he's like, no, I was getting up early to do meditate or whatever. But like, it's so good that you actually got the chance to sit and have a beer or
no cocaine.
No cocaine.
No, I mean, that was an example. That was exactly this. Did you have this experience? I'm not suggesting.
Yeah. No, it was amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
And we had beautiful weather, and we spent the most amazing evening just looking at Mount Cook, which had no clouds on it, and it was just, it was superb. And
stunning.
I did think to myself, why do I live in Auckland? Although I think a lot of people ask themselves that quite regularly.
Every time you come back from the South Island, there's that period, isn't there?
Yeah. Anyway.
Definitely.
So good is the short answer. Good.
Excellent.
I've had a good 2020 apart from lockdown and having to pack up half my studio and bring it back home, a few times. But apart from that, not too bad.
And then we arrived.
Hey,
look, quick plug time. Actually, huge thanks time.
Huge thanks time to our Patreon patrons. Look, it's been mind-blowing to have so much support from so many people, and we really can't thank you enough. It's enabled us to get some audio equipment, to pay for things like the website, and help us get down to Kepler and do the live show and do some recording down there. So look, thank you to all of you, and if you want to get on board, you can sign up for a small regular donation or a one-off koha at patreon.com/dirtchurchradio. Thank you. And if that's not in your wheelhouse, we are so happy to be here, and we're so thankful that we've managed to keep you company on your long runs this year and be there the whole time. So it's our pleasure.
Can I just add to that? 5 days ago, I was very relaxed about coming on your show. I thought this would be quite fun, And then Eugene sent me through his spreadsheet of notes. I'm sorry if I'm breaking the fourth wall here. But
what do you mean? This is all spontaneous. What are you talking about?
He's so organised, and I could not believe the amount of work and preparation that these guys put in to their show.
Eugene does,
which is very intimidating.
No, we share the load.
Eugene does the show rundown. I draw pictures of cats and stick them on t-shirts. I don't even do that. I just get people to draw pictures.
You do the show notes, and also we share the load.
We did it.
But you're right. There is a lot of work in this.
There's a lot of work into it.
It's a lot. I actually said it the other day, and I think it comes, and you'll hear this in the.
But it's not work. That's the thing. I enjoy doing it.
It's not work.
We love doing it. Yeah.
And we talked about with Ruth Croft, and she mentioned that, Aotearoa is an island. I totally get that, but so is Australia. It's a discipline, and it's a love thing too. So it's absolutely our pleasure to do it. So.
Right. I think
with
we should
show.
talk about our year of 2020. And really, you can't talk about 2020 without that talking about that thing.
COVID, let's just name it for what it is, coronavirus.
The global pandemic, yeah.
I was looking at our Instagram today to get a marker on the shows that we've done, and I was looking at some stuff, and I was like, that was in February? That felt like, when we talked to like Lucy, who ran Te Araroa, or Scotty, that feels like 20 years ago.
So it had that whole time warping thing. But it also, I mean, let's just let's just note the numbers. 75 million cases, 1.7 million deaths, 2,100 cases in New Zealand, 25 deaths. It's been a hell of a thing to land on this country and the world. And there's been impacts all over the place, including on our beloved sport. You think of the races that were cancelled this year, which, of course, context. But, the fact is that people... people's races were cancelled. So Northburn, Wutuke, Great Naseby water race.
Relapsed twice.
Man, that was so cruel, wasn't it? That week that we went back into the second lockdown,
Mate.
I was like, no. Oh!
I was in the shape of my life for that second one.
Yeah.
I've never heard...
Epic.
I've seen Sean in some states.
Yeah.
And I've had the pleasure of getting to know him, and if he's listening, I've never heard him more distressed. Like, I've never seen him.
Understandable.
I've heard him distressed when I tried to take his shoe off without taking the laces off when he ripped his Achilles after relapse. Like that.
But even worse than that?
It was worse than that. And just the effect that it had on...
Yeah.
Like,
Aren't you a nurse, Matt?
I'm a terrible nurse. No, but I'm a feelings nurse. But in terms of that, like, just that second lockdown, and just the effect that it had on everyone, like like I said to you, I hadn't even finished Jacinda Ardern's press conference, and I dug my scrubs out of my bag and just was like, back at it.
Okay.
That it's like a catch in your throat.
That's right. And then, we had overseas, UTA, Western States, Hard Rock, UTMB, Tour de France. It just went on and on and on, didn't it? All these races that didn't happen this year, which I guess means that the 2019 champions are champions for 2020? Anyway. But the whole uncertainty that it brought. Remember we were talking, the three of us, about having a live show? Remember that? We were doing a thing with Sports Lab. And I remember having a conversation with you, Andrew, about, should we do this, should we not? We were like...
It was within a couple of days, wasn't it?
Well, anxiety was really...
I think it was
there.
on the same day. We went through yes, no, yes, no, yes. We even sent out a thing on social media. You got sick. Luke had come back from Australia, and so then he was like, I think I need to self-isolate.
Yep.
And then we were like, oh, no. I think we even put out a thing going, we're definitely going ahead with it. And then within an hour, we're like, we're not going ahead
Absolutely.
with it. It was weird times, wasn't it? And that's just for us running a, silly little live show. But imagine being a race organiser and having to cope with all of this. And you've already touched on that with Sean. But, Terry Davis with Northburn went through that. He went through that whole back and forth too, didn't he?
I ended up sitting next to Dave Beach at the end of Kepler. We shared a blanket together after the race. It was very romantic. But of course, talking to him about is the year that those guys have had, especially with UTA, just so on, off. But obviously looking very strong for next year. So that'll be hopefully.
And Tarawera as well.
Hopefully,
it wasn't cancelled, but...
No. But it's gone... I mean, he was saying that with the overseas numbers way down, there is some pickup from the domestic runners, but they're not going to have the same numbers at Tarawera.
Well, they have such a huge amount of internationals normally, don't they? 40,
but with the borders closed. So that's... I mean, it's, it's been a hell of a year for a lot of people in our sport, which, again, is not to play lightly with the overall carnage of the pandemic and stuff, but, it's been a tough year for a lot of people, hasn't it? I think we should catch up with someone who has been in Europe, seen the effects of the pandemic over there, and has lived through it. Ruth Croft. She started off the year by crushing everyone at Old Ghost, and then she stayed in New Zealand for a bit longer, didn't she, before she headed off to Europe, where she usually races the European summer. But this year, can't imagine what that year has been like in Europe. So.
And her and her partner, Martin, they're back.
Yep.
And Rotorua, so...
Let's give them a bell.
In isolation, so let's catch up with them now.
Cool.
Church Radio.
All the way from room 265 at the Grand Oaks Hotel in Rotorua from isolation is Ruth Croft. Ruth, how are you? It's nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you guys too. I know I'm doing well. We're in day 9, I think it is, of 14 days of quarantine to get out on Boxing Day. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, it must be so surreal coming back from Europe into lockdown. That must be really strange.
It's not too bad because we knew what we were getting into, and with everything getting worse in Europe, coming back to New Zealand was actually pretty appealing, to be honest. So yeah, spending 2 weeks in a hotel room, like to have total freedom, not having to wear masks and being able to hug, it's a small price to pay, really.
What's your daily routine like?
So we get up at 4:30 a.m. because
What?
Why?
Because we're professional runners, that's why.
And hit the car park.
so we're in this Sedema, and there's a car park that we can run around, and we've worked out if we get up at 4:30 a.m. before everyone else, they let us run on the grass, which adds 40 metres to our lap, to making it 250 metres instead of 210. And they also let us alternate direction, which is also a really big treat. So we've been getting up at 4:30 a.m. to run 20k and start our day that way. And then after that, kind of downhill after that.
That's eerily reminiscent of the film Midnight Express, where the man gets locked up in the Turkish prison, and they go like clockwise around the pole, and then they're allowed to go counterclockwise around the pole.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good life hack, though, finding the extra 40 metres.
I've got to be honest, 250...
No, it makes such a massive difference.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad, 250 metres. I mean, people quite voluntarily run around tracks that are only 400 metres for quite a long time.
Yeah. So your 20Ks in the bag, that's done. What else is there to do all day? Much? I mean, we've seen that you've been... you figured out how to make eggs in the kettle.
Yeah, we've been doing mastered that one. I'm with my partner, Martin. He's working full-time. And then I'm also doing a course, Dr. Stacey Sims' course. So that's been keeping me busy. And then we're doing a bit of core exercises in the afternoon, watching a few movies, reading a few books, and that's pretty much our day. And then normally in bed at 8 p.m, which is kind of around now.
Sorry to keep
pushing it out tonight for you guys.
Sorry to keep you up. And how long did it take you to kill that treadmill that poor unsuspecting human lent you?
I know. It was day 3. Yeah. Because we were saying how we have the perfect setup. We can run in the car park in the morning and do a treadmill session in the evening. But kind of run the treadmill on day 3, so we just with the car park at the moment. We've been talking with Caitlin Fielder. I don't know if you know Caitlin.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the show.
She's also, she's doing quarantine in Auckland, and they arrived 2 days after us. And she said you have to book a 40-minute slot to go outside, and it says you're not allowed to exercise. You're only allowed to walk. You're not allowed to sweat. So I think our situation is still pretty good compared to other people.
Wow.
Who aren't so lucky about going outside as much as we can.
But, I mean, it makes sense in terms of sort of aerosol particles and stuff like that, sweating, respiration, things flying around. But yeah, that must be hard for people who, any active human being. That would be quite a challenge.
Auckland as well. It's sweaty all the time. You just have to go outside at the moment in Auckland.
Thinking it's
a little bit cruel, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Hey Ruth, what was it like in Europe before you came back?
It was getting worse. So when I arrived over there in July, and I was in Switzerland, which Switzerland was a lot more relaxed compared to other countries. Races kind of still went ahead, even though there were restrictions. And then, we were actually going to stay in Europe over the winter, the European winter, but everything was just getting a lot worse. Some restrictions were coming back into place, so cafes and bars and gyms. Swimming pools, etc., were getting closed down again. So we just made the call to come back to New Zealand. Yeah, and I think it's gotten even worse since we've returned.
It seems like it's really, really, really kicked off, hey?
Yeah, but it's kind of a different approach, I think, over in Europe as well. We're so lucky New Zealand being an island, but even when I first arrived in July, Switzerland pretty much just got on with life. really.
Yeah.
It's very different to being in New Zealand.
I mean, yeah, I can't imagine what the level of kind of not anxiety, but it must have been an underlying anxiety for everyone, yeah? That there's that sense of, yes, life is carrying on as normal, but nothing's normal anymore. And how do you guard against something you can't see or can't? Oh gosh,
Even my partner said when I first got over to Europe that I was more kind of like worked up about Corona than what like the Swiss were, just because I think it's, I don't know, it was a sort of different approach from being in New Zealand in the way, it's kind of been portrayed. And then when you get over to Europe, as I said, like, they're not an island, and it was just, I don't know. It seemed for me everyone was a lot more relaxed about it.
Maybe there's,
through my experience. So.
I guess we had more control here, so we had to be more determined to make the difference, whereas over there they have to take a more relaxed attitude because all the borders are connected. So there's not as much they can do.
And I know France and Switzerland, like they said that in France they wouldn't close the borders again because there's just so many people from France that go over to Switzerland for work, and there's like 80,000 people or something a day. I can't remember the exact number.
Oh my goodness.
But it's just a different setup over there.
Hey, we were talking about Taiwan because Andrew spent some time in Taiwan.
Well,
earlier.
some time is exaggerating.
A week.
I spent a week there.
I mean, they've done an amazing job as well over there, and you've got a lot of connections to Taiwan.
Yeah, I lived there for 5 years, and then I just saw yesterday they had the Taipei Marathon, and with all the races, like the half and the full, they had 28,000 people taking part, which is just insane.
Wow. And no masks?
They had an international field. You had to wear masks at the start and the finish.
Right.
And it's like you have to wear it in Taiwan, even though they don't have any cases at the moment. You have to wear a mask on public transport. It's compulsory. But,
yeah, in my 1 week, which was amazing there, and utterly changed my probably very naive opinion of what Taiwan was like. I couldn't believe what an amazing country it was, and also how unbelievably kind and nice everyone there was. We were just in Taipei, but even that by itself was amazing. So I'm not surprised that they were able to take care of this problem in the same way that the Kiwis did. They're like-minded individuals.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they're awesome, the Taiwanese, and they're 150 miles off the coast of China, and it's remarkable what they've been able to do with the virus. And don't feel like they've gotten the credit that they deserve either.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's so good you're home, and it must be a sense of relief. What are your plans for the summer?
I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to redoing a few trail races. Just making the most of that, because the season over in Europe, it was very up and down. Nothing was really guaranteed. And so then coming back to New Zealand, I just want to make the most of being at home and being able to do races instead of going ahead in that. So I'm not sure which ones I'll do yet, but maybe Old Ghost or Tarawera, I haven't decided yet. And some other ones too.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be based?
Going back to the coast, we get out on Boxing Day, so we'll go back to the coast for a few weeks to catch up with family, and then most likely be back down in Monica. Yeah. It's the plan so far. Yeah.
How, what was I going to say? I mean, that sort of sense of the coast. I mean, I did look at one race that you ran, the Matterhorn race. That looked amazing. Like the videos of that were just
they were totally
so
bonkers.
intense.
I think is the word you're looking for, Matt.
Well, I wasn't trying to go there, but I feel qualified to say this, like batshit crazy. Like, what were you up to? How good was that?
Yeah, that was like, because I didn't really know when I was going to be able to get over to Europe, and then kind of things just started to open up end of July, and so before that I'd been training for cross country. So shorter races, and then got over to Europe, and then the Matterhorn, the old tracks was going ahead. So I signed up for the Extreme, which lives up to its name.
It certainly was.
And how long is it?
Yeah. It's only 25k, I want to say 26k, but I think it took me nearly 5 hours, 4 hours 50 or something. And it has something over 3,000 meters vert.
Wow.
And then there's like sections where, you're on ropes. And then there's like this kind of like super steep scree slope where they have people go through and like sweep all the big boulders out before, so that like people coming down don't pull down rocks on the people below.
Awesome.
So, and then you have to have like micro spikes as well for a section, because you're running across like it's not really maybe like a glacier snowfield. And it's just super epic, and definitely was out of my range for what I'd been doing leading up to that. So there's just it's such an awesome course. So it was a good opportunity to just go and have a good day out. Yeah.
You do the math on that and you're like, Ruth Croft, 25k. And then I automatically thought, how many laps to the car park is that? And then I thought, if it's taking you, I mean...
How many laps is it, Matt? Have you worked it out?
100.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100 laps.
Maths on the fly,
Fantastic. I'm good at maths.
But how many
also,
times
but
the
then you do the
stairs?
maths
Yeah.
like Ruth Croft versus the mountain and 25k and 5 hours, something. And I think like Matt Raymond versus the mountain, 25k. I'd still probably be out there.
But also, you did, so OCC was your race last year, wasn't it? Have I got that right? The is that 60Ks? The last three climbs, 56. The last three climbs of the UTMB course, and having experienced them, they are massive. Yeah. And to think that took you around about the same time as 25Ks kind of tells you a little bit about what that course must have been like.
Yeah. Wow.
Quite amazing.
Yeah. Well, I was also, it was super technical, and I'm not good on that sort of like really gnarly technical stuff. So it definitely took me a lot longer.
Yeah.
Cool.
Than people. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm still calling sandbagging on your not good at technical stuff. But
it's all relative. It's all
relative. It's relative.
You'll have to give it a go, Matt. You'll have to sign up next year, mate. You'll have to.
But there are definitely people who are super comfortable on that sort of terrain, and I'm definitely not sandbagging, but I'm definitely, it's not my sort of cup of tea, like Kima and stuff like that. Yeah. Like I've done it and I enjoyed it, but I really don't enjoy, like, it's just not my sort of race.
Yeah. I must admit, Eugene and I looked at that video and you know, like scaling it down relative to skill level, like I was like fist pumping and Eugene was kind of like holding his mouth because he's trying to not throw up. You know, it's either one of those, it looked like either one of those races, like you're really into it or you're really
I had
not.
nightmares for weeks. Thanks, Ruth. Hey, Ruth, look, thank you so much. We better let you get to bed and really, really appreciate catching up with you. Early start. Going to get those Ks in. And say good day to Martin as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
welcome to Aotearoa.
Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Great.
If I was to boil a couple of eggs in a kettle, how many...
So nobody who hasn't seen that video...
Like me, for example.
Okay, so you get a kettle
and
you put a couple of eggs in it.
Yeah.
And then you boil the kettle.
Yeah.
And it cooks the eggs.
Boiled eggs.
Do they not like totally stick to the...
Well, you don't throw them in. You place them in the water.
We're poaching eggs.
Yeah,
They're boiled
in the shell.
Oh, this... Okay, sorry, you can cut the stupidity out. We're a bit slow.
No, we won't cut the stupidity out. We've made a career out of this. How many times do you have to boil the kettle? How many jug boils does it take?
We just did 2.
Okay. That's
You
pretty...
can probably just sit it in boiling water as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure that would work too.
Okay. And
George Bennett had... Sorry.
That was my next question. That was my follow-up question.
Yeah. He had some Vogel's toast and a piece of, baking paper and was ironing his bread.
Oh wow!
I was in the effing Tour de France.
Hang on. So
I'm ironing my bread.
There's no toaster? They don't give you a toaster in quarantine?
Oh look,
Obviously
mate, we went to when we stayed at the Distinction in Tiano. No French press. We had to make coffee in the iron. It was rough.
Gosh, and let this mark the moment that Dirt Church Radio pivoted to be a cooking show. So yeah. Thanks, Ruth. Who knew that it would be Ruth Croft who'd bring us to this place?
Absolutely. I don't even have a kettle.
All right.
You don't?
I actually don't have a kettle. No. I've got one of those Hario hipster Chemex one because I've got a gas hob, But
He's in Revere,
I'll leave it there. I live in a villa. I'm a villa
We
dweller.
need to move on.
Yeah, we'll move on. Anyway,
All right.
Merry Christmas, Ruth, and say hi to Martin, and can't wait to catch up with you
Will do.
when you're out, and welcome home.
Yeah, so we see you guys at any races around New Zealand?
Maybe
summer?
you will.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Depending on where you turn up.
That's right.
Sweet.
Sorry.
Maybe Ruth
yeah.
could come to Old Riverhead Rampage. There you go, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Now here's the part where the
Yeah.
host of the show. Did you ever? Now here's some going deep running. You know Anton Krupicka?
I've heard of him, yes.
Yeah, you heard of him.
Yeah.
What do you know? Trail Runner
Yeah.
Nation podcast. Once the Trail Runner Nation guys tried to get him to wear some of their fake tattoos, but they approached it online, during the interview. They're like,
Yeah.
hey, you could wear some of our Kokopelli fake tattoos. And it was the most awkward silence.
Okay.
And I feel
I
like
see
if
where you're going
asked-
with this.
I feel like if I
Okay.
asked Ruth Croft to come
Yeah.
do my race
And
up
now
in
she- and
Riverhead,
if she can't make
it'd
it,
be
then-
akin to that
yeah.
sort of.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you don't have to come.
Yeah, no, don't come.
It's
No,
dumb. It's
no,
dumb.
it's
It's real
stupid.
dumb. It's a
Wait, you've got a
stupid
race?
race.
Yeah,
When is it?
it's March 6th.
See what I did? I helped
Yeah.
you out there, mate. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's 21k.
Righto.
that's
21k.
right. It's, okay.
Yeah.
There's no scree.
It's my
Matt
mother's.
goes through and
and-
sweeps the boulders off the course.
my
and,
mother's
uh,
68th birthday.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And Tom Hunt.
For your mum.
And Raymond is a saint. Ruth
What's
Croft.
what's the course record?
Tom Hunt has the course record in. Oh no, Nick Johnson has the course record. It's like 1:35.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Ruth.
both of those
There you
guys
go,
need
Ruth.
to be given a
Yeah,
hiding.
you need to take them
so,
down.
Yeah.
please do.
I know. Well, have you guys gone to the coast yet?
Oh.
I've done Old Ghost. You guys have done Old
Andrew's
Ghost.
done Old Ghost.
No?
Andrew's done Old
Andrew's
Ghost.
done Old
I've done Old Ghost.
No,
That
well,
counts for something.
All right.
That's Andrew, but what about...
Hey, it's at the time. We've got to get going.
Ruth Croft, ladies and gentlemen. No, okay, so there's a gauntlet being thrown down
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
wow.
Yeah, challenge laid.
Yeah, challenge laid down.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Ruth, thank you so much. Thanks for derailing that, Andrew. That was going so well.
It's a pleasure.
To talking about our culinary exploits. Take care of yourself and yeah, have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Well, look, Andrew is getting a bit antsy because we haven't had our usual jingle and he wanted to play it live. So I think we should call this section
Stuff you should
know. Feel better getting that in his system.
It's been waiting
He's
a
been
long
building up-
time.
he's been practicing
Man,
all
we're going to
week.
get one of those
Yeah.
reviews on iTunes, eh?
We are.
It's-
Yeah, it's
but-
coming. Hey, look, but
Laserdisc.
this year there was. I'm trying to keep this on track because you've already said that I'm professional. So you
Is
know.
it the whiskey? I think it's the
I
whiskey.
think it's the whiskey. I'm on the Perrier. But look, there weren't races, but there were a hell of a lot of hot FKTs this year. It was the year of FKTs, which, if you don't know, is fastest known time. That's what that means. And basically, Europe and the States just went bananas with athletes getting out their maps. Is that what they do these days?
Yep, no, people
Get
get
out
out
the
their maps and...
And just eyeing up FKTs all over the place. And there were some eye-watering ones, weren't there?
Yep,
Yes.
absolutely.
You got a favourite, Andrew?
Crikey. You've put me on the spot.
Yeah, I have. Well, okay. Well,
Dan
I-
Lawson's one, up
Yeah.
John O'Groats, the one where he'd go from the southern
Lay
point.
jog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Les
Les Jog, that's right.
Les Jog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the fact that he did it in second-hand shoes and second-hand gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, he's all about the environment, that fella.
Absolutely.
isn't he?
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. I love the Nolan's 14ers, the women just laying it down there. You know, we talked to Megan Hicks, didn't
Yeah.
we? We talked to Megan Hicks when she'd just taken the record, but even before we had a chance to get the interview out, it had gone back. You know, so
the woman that she
Sabrina
took it off,
Stanley,
yeah,
Sabrina Stanley. They
took-
basically played tennis all summer
Absolutely.
long. You know, one would take it, the other one, you know. So there was what were there 5 female FKTs on the Nolan's 14ers in 87 days. You know. And so it's ended up with Sabrina Stanley, 2 days, 49 minutes, 42 seconds. So for a 100-mile route, which, what's it? No, 42,000 feet of elevation.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know, that was just bananas this year, really.
I got 2 favourites.
Yeah.
And I got to say Corey Waltering,
Yeah.
Ice Age Trail, which
Yes.
is 21 days, 13 hours, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
He's one of my favourite athletes
Yeah.
and has
Yeah.
been for the longest time. His
Yeah.
attitude, his
That was a great
his-
chat with him.
His strength, his openness.
That was last year, wasn't it? We caught up with him. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was 200 years ago. And I had a really odd experience because you took you did the episode. My car had got broken into that night. The podcast came out, so I was sweeping, trying to clean up the broken glass out of my car, and listening to you talk to Damien Hall about his Pennine Way record.
Yeah.
And feeling both like deeply disappointed that I'd missed out, because I think I was working or something happened, or I was sick or something happened, but just how good that was. 61 hours and 34 minutes and 268 miles. And he did it carbon neutral as well.
Yeah,
that's
right.
right.
And that was the sorry, man.
Was that John Kelly's?
Yeah, John Kelly.
Took it off him,
He'd said it, days earlier, hadn't he? And
he went the other way as well.
Yeah. So hey mate, because they were mates, and just takes the record off him. But
you've just lost your FKT.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, imagine getting
get
that
the Strava update. Adam Kimball on the Tahoe Trail. I mean, I caught up with Adam at Tarawera, so that was a bit of a special one to see him take that down, an hour 20 faster than some joker called Killian Jornet or something.
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
And is it Jornet or Jornet? Have we decided?
Jornet. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. Sorry.
Candice Burt
Yeah.
on the Tahoe Rim, which 2 days, 12 hours, 47 minutes and 34 seconds. Did she have to pull out the first time because she was tripping balls so badly that she had to... I mean, if you're hallucinating that much that you've actually got to pull the pin and get some sleep.
Yeah.
And again, I'm qualified to say this. That's quite a sizable level of hallucination.
That is.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, because you having had a number of hallucinations in my time, you're actually generally fine with them. Because it's your brain making it up.
Yeah.
So you're not really that bothered. It's only afterwards you reflect and go, oh, that's really weird. But
I had my first hallucinations this year. 2020 year of hallucinations. Yeah. At Tarawera, first time I've ever had them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was a tiny robot off to the side of the trail. So I was running along and it was coming into the Blue Lake aid station and I just saw this little robot just sitting on the side of the trail. Awesome. And so I went past it and I said to Gene, who was pacing me, that was weird. And he's like, what was weird, dude? And I was like, that little robot back there. And he went, the what? And I was like, because I justified it to myself.
Oh, yeah, it's totally
I thought
fine.
I figured out that what it was they were scanning our numbers to tell us that they were coming in, that we were coming into the aid station, that they had this little automated...
Send the
thing.
robots
Oh, right.
out
So that made perfect sense to you.
It made...
That they would put a robot
in
in the forest to scan your
until Gene was saying...
Your Parker and barcode.
Yeah, exactly. Until Gene was saying, dude, there's no robot. Anyway.
That's amazing.
That was weird.
Gene's going, I didn't get him.
When I work shift work, I used to hallucinate, frequently, because I do mad hours, I would hallucinate wildly.
Driving home and stuff? Or?
Running afterwards, generally. Yeah. Never so much driving home or riding home, but when I'd go for runs.
And certainly not when you're in the Tahoe Rim Trail.
No. But yeah, that was an amazing
Sarah Hansel set the unsupported FKT on the Nolan's 14er as well, which, man, I mean, there were such good ones. Yeah, the whole Damien Hall, John Kelly SmackDown was great. But also, don't forget, Te Aroha.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, Lucy's run.
Yeah.
So good.
So she did 66 days, 7 hours and 8 minutes, setting a new female supported FKT. And that was great to catch up with her.
She finished on January 16th. She also set a new record for most king-size Whittaker's blocks consumed in 66 days.
Yes, except for on the paddle.
64 then she had, because her husband forgot to pack them.
Yeah. And then just 4 days later, George Henderson, he set the record of 49 days, 14 hours and 27 minutes, beating Jez Bragg had the previous, I think.
And that record stood for ages. And I know for a fact, and again, this is a COVID you dick moment, and I'm not going to break, but I knew that there was an international athlete who was planning to come down. Because I talked to him about it. He was planning to come down, and he would have...
Thwarted.
All due respect to Mr. Henderson, but he would have knocked that out of the park.
Well, you don't know that. You've got to lace up your shoes and get there.
True.
You know?
And okay, so all things being equal and everything going well and no calf tears and everything going dream run.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. 2021.
Oh, I wonder who this is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you after.
All right. Hey, what about other big performances this year? Vlad Chatroff.
Yep, Vlad Chatroff at Tarawera.
Oh, man, incredible.
Race record?
That was all I could think when I was running only the 100 was, please don't let Vlad pass me. Please don't do that. I think I beat him by like 20 minutes. Like, yes, I beat Vlad.
Did you go up to him afterwards? In your place.
60 Ks more than me.
I loved it how he... Oh, yeah, speaking of that whole thing when... Dan talks about how he ran 150 kilometres in like 11 hours. Yeah, he would have... That's like...
Anyway. Yeah.
hours faster than my 100k time. But anyway, that's
Ruth Croft at Old Ghost Road. Old Ghost Oak Trail. You know, smacking down everyone. That was a great performance this year.
It was this year. That does feel like a long time ago.
absolutely.
Dan Jones and Nancy Zhang at Kepler, you know, two sort of quite different performances, weren't they? You know, Dan so just out the front gone, Nancy in that race.
with Ruby.
Yeah.
So
just,
good.
You know, what a great race that was.
Yeah.
And
On
Nancy
very
got
little
there.
nutrition, Nancy as well, I heard.
Yeah.
And Ruby as well. Ruby as well.
Really?
Like throwing
Yeah.
up for the last 10k.
Right.
Like just power vomiting. And I mean, I was at Tarawera Outlet in the year that, what year was that you did the 100k? The rain year?
Oh, 2018.
Yeah. And Ruby had to pull at the outlet because she was so physically sick.
Right.
And has
nutrition
mastered
issues.
that and just
Yeah.
powered through that last 10k. Amazing.
But Sarah Douglas and Jonah Jackson on the grunt too.
Amazing.
They were two phenomenal performances.
Amazing.
You know, Sarah got 5th overall, didn't she?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
see her coming down the mountain?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you? No. You. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
What were you doing, Eugene? Oh no, you were doing the same one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That was. I mean, she was just flying, and I loved seeing her run. But the other big race this year, which we finally got away, was Big's Backyard, and you lined up in that, Andrew.
Yeah, that was it was wonderful. It was awesome
Yeah.
to be there. The old 1 a.m. start was awful. You know, trying
Yeah.
to get sleep before it was nearly impossible. You know, you've had a full day, and you're like, okay, so
Yeah.
now I'm just going to turn my brain off,
Yeah.
even though I have to be up at midnight. And you know,
Didn't work.
I might have got 5 minutes. I don't think I got anything.
Wow.
And that was the same for everybody.
Yeah.
They're all just trying, and
Yeah.
then so you already miss your first night's sleep before you've even started.
Absolutely.
Which is a bit gnarly. I'm making excuses. For
No. It's
I don't think you're
it was
making excuses at all. And I
Yeah.
think as well, my sense of it from both from an outsider and an insider's perspective, and an outsider that I was sort of sitting and observing, and an insider that I'm sort of intimately involved in this stuff. Everyone who lined up was just amazing and a different class of being, and everyone also just seemed a little bit tired. And I don't know if it was the 1 a.m. start. I don't know if it's the technicality. I mean, you weren't running 7 metres of vert a time, were you? You were running 100 and...
Yeah, but we also didn't run for 75 hours, so I suppose...
Yeah, but still, I don't know.
It's but
Shots
for
fired, Belgium.
it definitely didn't help having a technical course
Yeah.
and the late start. Yeah, we can do that, but I think Adam showed that...
yeah. So Adam Keane,
he looked
won
pretty
it. Yep.
strong at the end there. He was certainly up for some more, no
Yep.
doubt about
Yep.
it.
So him and Glenn Sutton were there
Yep.
at the end, and Adam reigned supreme.
Yep.
Savage.
And
that he
looking at,
was.
it's interesting looking at photos between Adam from last year and this year.
Yes.
Just how much.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very well put together man.
Yep.
And he works very hard at his strength, but he just looks so much stronger.
He did.
He looked
Yeah.
like, more savage.
Yeah,
How-
well, he's got a few mountains in his backyard. That's
That's
and I'm
true.
making so many excuses, aren't I?
Laying them down.
What about all the strength work he does, though, too?
Yeah, well, yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just taking the piss out of the guy because he's Adam.
What about the whole? How were you even conscious of? Did you even think about the overseas races going on, or were you?
We were
you
pretty
like just-
disconnected. You
right.
couldn't really look at the screen. You couldn't really follow. I'd sort of ask a few questions, and so people would give us updates like, "Oh, the Americans have lost more than you," because we didn't lose anyone in the first
Yeah.
100Ks,
Yeah.
which
No.
I thought was awesome. Like
Yeah.
all 15 runners making it to 100Ks.
Yeah.
And on that, relatively technical and
Yes.
freezing the first night.
Oh,
So.
and then hot.
And you were
And
straight
it's so
ahead.
hot,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was actually pretty cool we were doing really well for
Yeah.
a while there, and I thought we'd beaten Australia, but we didn't because these two dudes just kept going and going and
Yeah.
going and going. So that
Yeah.
kind of sucked. That was probably the worst bit, is getting beaten by Australia.
Yeah.
So clearly there's some unfinished business there.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's great to do.
Yeah.
And we'll have to do I'm looking forward to the normal relapse, because it was kind of weird and kind of awesome being all in this together.
Yes.
But that actually put a pressure on, because that the moment you drop, you're no longer contributing to the team score. So rather than if you're just doing relapse and you drop, well, you're out.
There was that dialectic, and that's one of the...
Ooh.
The dialectic. So a dialectic means that both things exist at the same time in the same space. So you can have... It's like saying the difference between and but, right? So you're a highly tuned, competitive bunch of people, right? All of you, everyone in that race is an animal. And you're all working for the same goal. And whoever comes, there's going to be two people at the end and one of them's going to want to win.
Yeah.
Amazing. Love it.
Right. I think, could you rustle up another jingle or something? Because we need to do like a DCR year in review. Putting you on the spot here.
Okay,
we've paid the big bucks to be in the studio, so,
Do you want me to actually play one?
Yeah, go on. Yeah. DCR year in review is what we're talking about next,
Got to be in a different key to the other one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the DCR year in review. Is it?
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
We'll take that. We'll
I
buy
made
it.
a career out
We'll
of
buy
songs
it.
like that.
Yeah. Wow. So, we celebrated our second anniversary
Yes,
during
we
the
did.
year.
Yep.
And we managed to get 100th show in just
Between
before the second
the
lockdown.
interregnum.
Yeah. But it's been a great year.
It's been a huge year. It's been a disciplined year, I think, as well overall. And it's been a year of a lot of changes. It's been a year where we've met a lot of challenges. It's been a year where we've been held accountable by our audience a lot.
Yeah, we were.
Absolutely.
We were.
Really?
Yeah, we were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from me. Was it someone else?
You sound like shit.
This photo of potato, that's what you sound like. No, actually, that was not this year. That was previous year.
So what happened is when everything kicked off with COVID and races disappeared, and then we were trying to record and
do busy jobs,
and Eugene was doing like a daily podcast on COVID. I felt like I was losing my mind and trying to do a really scary...
Well, you were having to come home in scrubs and
and scrub yourself.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
it was really frightening and really hard.
But we kept this thing going.
We kept this thing going, but also we were met with the challenge that along the time where there was this massive cultural shift around the time of the George Floyd murders, and we were challenged by several members of our audience, hey, look, you're just a bit white dude heavy, you're just a bit this, you're just, and we took that on the chin, do you know, and it was almost like with the circumstances, I'm not making excuses, but we did have to it was an interesting time to be in media at that time.
Yeah.
And
it just caused us to re-examine and not fall back on the easy things sometimes and just think a bit more about, who we talk to, what we talk about, how we talk about things. So it was a time for self-reflection in the midst of everything that was going on. But, it's been a fun year.
It's been a huge year. It's been it's been a fun year, and it's been a disciplined year. So, I mean, what are your highlights?
Oh, like so many episodes. I loved going to Tarawera and Kepler and running around with the mics. I love doing that. We've got a bit to do a bit of that at Biggs as well, because I think it's always much better when you can actually talk to people face to face. It's of course it is. I enjoyed talking to Megan Hicks.
Yeah.
Partly, again, she was talking about the cultural perspective of...
that was amazing,
Yeah.
Acknowledging the Indigenous people of the land. That was fantastic.
Yeah. What about you? Got any favourite episodes?
I really enjoyed Scotty Stevenson.
Yeah.
I think everyone enjoyed Scotty Stevenson.
Can I just say, kudos to Mr. Andrew McDowall, who I was sitting in your studio here on the couch, and you said, you should get Scotty Stevenson on your podcast. And so we went... we should do.
I forget I come up with these great ideas. I don't remember saying that.
And we did. And my God, we talk about this a bit, didn't we? But he turned up. He came. He said, "Yeah, I'll do it, but I'll come and do it face to face. I don't want to do it over thing." We're like, "Sweet, cool." He'd been on the news.
Yeah. So he rolls in. I've never met him before. I've never seen him. You see Scotty, and he was a big dude, and this lean, tall, cool drink of water walks in, full pancake makeup, drinking a beer. He walked into Eugene's house drinking a beer.
Where did he find it?
He had it in the car. He picked it up on the way home.
We gave him some Dirt Church Radio beers. I think
we gave him a dozen Dirt Church Radio beers. And we sat up in Eugene's bedroom.
Sorry, don't know anything about...
Why don't I have any?
You must have... What? You've got them.
You were in a DCR shirt there, Brian.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I'd be quiet for you. I wouldn't overstep the mark there, brother.
It's very comfortable too, by the way. Very wicking. It's cool.
No, but we sat in your bedroom. Yeah. And it was stinking
steaming hot February day.
We were sweating, and he just like ice cold. Like, he was ice in his veins and just had this amazing chat, and people really dug it.
Yeah.
And he was open, he was honest, he was intimate. Yeah. Scotty Hawker, your chat with Scotty Hawker, I really loved.
Well, we didn't. That was last year, wasn't it?
No, you did one at the start of this year as well.
Really?
You caught up with him. Yeah, that was another one when I was full COVIDing.
And then we caught up with him at the start of COVID.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was you. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's good.
I forget. I thought
Myrna
we both did.
Valera?
Yeah.
I
You got up at 4 a.m. or something.
No,
for
I
that
got up
one.
at 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Sorry.
So I got up
Yeah.
at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
to talk to Myrna Valera. An African-American woman in the States. She was in Vermont when everything was kicking off, and just the privilege of having that conversation. And this is someone who, has copped her blog's Fat Girl Running, right? She copped the most vitriolic abuse. You can imagine what that woman puts up on the daily, because she doesn't fit people's normal perception of what a runner is. And that was an amazing conversation.
I keep thinking of our conversation with James Kugler.
Absolutely.
Partly because James just brought some real wisdom, but partly too because it was our last time that we were in the same room for several months. Remember, it was just at that sort of peak
We were in
craziness.
in my what is now Tom's bedroom, and what was set up for it to be my studio. And
yeah. And then it got reconfigured. But we were scrambling. It was like, okay, we're about to go. I think it was it the Monday before we went into full on lockdown?
It was the Monday before we went.
And it was like, okay, we're in the last chance saloon here. There was a real feeling like the end of the world was coming.
Absolutely.
James had written this great Facebook post where he had talked about, okay, these are the things that you need to be doing right now. This is the mindset that you need. We grabbed him. You got hold of him and said, "Can we call you?" He said, "I've got half an hour." So we jumped in to the room, and we recorded this conversation, which did feel like we don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And then we didn't catch up for months.
For months and months and months.
Yeah.
We didn't see each other. Well, we didn't see anyone, but we didn't see each other, and we kept this thing going, and it was
Yeah. What about that mad time we caught up with 4 Big's backyard?
Yeah.
Finishes
on that Zoom call. That was insane.
So Will
Eugene.
Hayward messages me and go, "Hey, I'm thinking of setting up a Zoom call with the top 4 from Big just to catch up with them. Do you guys want in?" And we're like, "Yeah,
absolutely." And
that was great. That was a goodie.
Yeah, I still suffer quite a bit of imposter syndrome.
Oh, you totally.
Even sitting next to this guy.
Yeah,
to my right,
Yeah.
absolutely, fully. Damien Hall, as I mentioned before. Sarah Bookums.
Yeah.
I mean, that's recent, and we got to reference an email, but the fact that, and when we recorded that in the lobby of a hotel. We were both wrecked. Kepler's busy, right? Like, we're working, we're running around, and this person shows up. She's so enthusiastic. And we hear from the Kepler committee, oh, yeah, she's had an accident. And there's no attempts at sympathy. There's no referencing it throughout the talk. We're talking about neutrinos. We're talking about everything like that. And then you say, oh, you had an accident, and she just...
She says what happened to her.
It destroyed her family, literally.
Well, what happened as a result of that was we got this email, didn't we?
Yeah. It says, this is from Aaron Perrion, and he says, I was quite alarmed because he was like, "Thanks for wrecking my run." And I was like, "Oh, hang on."
Yeah.
And then we get this email, and it's by way of background, and in short, I got fat, I got cancer this year, got running again, did Kepler, and found DCR in the last fortnight. So that's a year of highs and lows. So today...
5 stars.
Yeah. Today I'm back into training, a 1 hour, 5-minute session, including a 35-minute AET. I don't know what that means. I dialed up your chat with Sarah Bookums, and off I went. I'm digging deep 30 minutes into the AET effort, enjoying your physics and climate change discussions. When Sarah drops the bomb of her motor vehicle accident and, losing her dad and her brother and the horrific injuries to her whānau, and a lump filled my throat, my eyes welled up, and a flood of empathy felt kind of overwhelming in that moment. So thanks for wrecking my run. The AET might have been blown apart, but I felt alive, grateful, and touched, moved, and inspired. So thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Matt and Eugene, for sharing a special story, leaving me feeling humbled, alive, and privileged. Thanks. And, we felt exactly the same way. We both got up to our room, and we were just a bit, quite affected that someone could. So if you haven't heard that episode, please go listen to that, because, oh my Lord. Heart of a lion.
Extremely positive too, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It was a great interview, yeah.
And yeah, when I was like, it's all relative.
And I did feel very stupid listening to it. She's
Dude,
so
we
smart.
had to edit. Like, we edited those gaps down because they were like long gaps. Like, she was like, "Yeah,
We're looking at each other going,
"Totally."
years and traveling through you right now." And we're like,
Whoa.
"Pardon?
Yeah.
I play
You hurt
ukulele.
your what?" Yeah. I'm a feelings guy. Talk to me about
Amazing,
physics. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. I love that chat with Kunal.
Yeah,
Kate Southern,
I think
you know,
for me,
yeah.
in terms of not to be too indulgent, but for me, what has made the biggest difference this year is understanding the depth of feeling in this community. So speaking to like Kunal, Kate Shave, people like that, you know, it's been really, and maybe it's been a sort of a refocus. Everyone's had to focus on their own backyard. So fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, Kunal, for letting us trash your house after Biggs.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, we cut that bit out.
Appreciate that, mate.
There was a whole big section where we no, there wasn't.
How bad
Kunal
was it? Did you guys kick the toilet in?
a bunch of ultra
What
runners.
goes on tour stays on tour.
Take that.
With muscular arms.
Yeah, it's like Tour de France cyclists fighting. Have you ever seen the two 45-pound bags of wet leaves? I'm talking to you, George. Come at me. Anyway, moving on.
Yes.
So this is, again, it feels hard to talk about, not to talk about how privileged we feel, right? And how lucky we are, and how, for lots of reasons, we're lucky, right? So Eugene and I, and you, Andrew, for lots and lots and lots of reasons, we are very, very lucky. And then we get this correspondence, and I feel incredibly proud to hold this space. So this is this person who wishes to remain anonymous wrote in and said, "This is a greatest run ever-ish." And I was like, what's the greatest run ever-ish? And for our last greatest run ever of the year, we can't not talk about this, or can't not share this. So this is from someone who remains anonymous, and at their request. So after the initial exhilaration of a fast time and sore muscles faded, so too did the sense of success in finishing my first marathon. What remained was something more enduring, the accomplishment of even competing in this race at all. That sounds melodramatic, sure, but let's also consider for a moment the world that us runners live in, one that is mostly characterised by masculinity, physical prowess, whiteness and money. And I say to that, like, preach, let's go. And even then, I've yet to hear of a race advertising trails dotted with obstacles called systematic injustice, like so many marginalised runners have faced inside and outside of the sport. Fortunately for me, I have the privilege of being able-bodied, a family of mixed, mostly white passing background, live in a country where my identity is not criminalised, and a job that can pay for food and a pair of sneakers comfortably. However, I do contend daily with the fact that I'm a transgender runner, and with that brings challenges that are enough to sideline me even on my best days. What challenges am I particularly talking about? There's too many and some too personal to put on this page, so I'll offer you a few to taste. I've had hateful words and beer cans thrown at me on runs from passing cars. If I Google, and I challenge you to do this, trans runner, you'll find more hateful articles bent on policing trans people's ability to compete than positive affirmations on their undying strength and stamina. Never have I seen a race registration that represents the vastness of my gender beyond two boxes, male and female. And let me also not forget the fundamental struggle to simply be seen by society as the person I know myself to be. Something that for years kept me from thinking I was worthy enough to have a body I could fully run joyfully in. It's no wonder that at kilometre 26 or 32 my mantra was, "You've done things so much more harder than this." Because I have and will continue to do harder things, because accepting trans athletes is not a battle I see the running community championing anytime soon. The starting line was never a level playing field, and there is serious work to do if us runners are to create a fair and equal starting line in the sport, let alone running. So today I'm lacing up my shoes, hitting the trails, and thinking about how this run is part of perhaps my greatest and longest run ever. My run at making this sport easier for everybody and every gender.
There you go.
Beautiful writing.
And we stand strong with you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
And thank you so much to the person who wrote it.
Yeah, thank you for having the courage to share that with us, and putting pen to paper. We appreciate it. Right.
Why don't you do us a jingle for question time?
It's question
question time with Eugene and Matt.
All right, but you got to take part in this as well because this is your idea.
I think all these jingles are the same. And
They
I'm just
are,
changing
they
the
are.
words.
Right, this is from...
It's question. No.
Oh, is that
It's question time. No.
some tidy vocals from Eugene?
Yeah,
Beckham
I
to
know,
the right there.
hidden strengths.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's
Luke
go.
McCallum and Crush the Cargill say, you are famous for your greatest runs ever. What is the worst or shittiest run you've ever had?
That's easy for me, but
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, go.
Go.
Oh, LB 24-hour world champs. Easily the shittiest run
yeah.
I've ever had.
Yeah. Which was last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just perfect training, awesome fitness, and then everything that could have possibly gone wrong went wrong in the day. But, hey.
Yeah. My one was, you know how people talk about these runs that are so hard, but they got you back and blah, blah, blah. I remember having this run. I hadn't run for a while. I'm trying to think, must have been around about the time that Kieran was born or something. You know, I'd had a period of not running much. I'm going out for a run today. Went out and run, and it just sucked so badly. I felt so unfit. It was so hard. I chafed in places I didn't even know I had, and had totally overestimated how much fitness I'd lost. And it sucked, but it actually put a marker in the ground for me. It's like, I never want to be that unfit again. I'm sure I have been, but I still remember that run and how much it really sucked. But you kind of got to have those runs sometimes, don't you? To just
Did you run the next day? Or did you take...
I ran the next
Did
day.
it disillusion
I did.
you?
No, I did.
yeah,
I did.
Back
But-
on the horse.
Yeah, and I remembered something that Lydia used to say, which was when you get back into running, just imagine yourself as an old man or an old woman. You know, if you try and forget what you have been, just be where you are. Be in this run. Yeah. Anyway, you got one, Matt?
Yeah, mine was the 2017 Tarawera 50K, and I think 2 days before, and it talks about, I guess, the wider themes of self-care. I think I'd been awake for about 32 hours, and I'd spent 15 of those hours in the Henderson police station looking after someone who was very unwell. And I remember I spent the whole night with this other gentleman who was in a cell, and he could see me through like a crack in the door, and he was shouting for like 5-6 hours, like things he was going to do to me when he got out of the cell. And they ran the gamut from like violence to intimacy, often combined.
Violent intimacy.
Violent intimacy, and that was, and then it was one of my greatest hallucinations and I remember like getting out, and I got lost in Riverhead Forest. I was walking the dog, and I actually turned around and went, I don't know where I am. Oh my God. And I started the race, and things were going okay, but I just hadn't looked after myself, and I'd sort of worn this kind of burnout, or I'm tough, I can do this, I can start, and I ended up getting medically pulled off the race at the Buried Village. Like things were going very well, and then things just started going very bad. I was just throwing up, and actually I wasn't fit. I was overweight. I just wasn't looking after myself, and they pulled my tag at the 24-hour. The 24-hour.
24K.
At the 34K, they pulled me because I just fell to bits. And I've actually got my race number, which was 5399, framed. And it's the only one I've ever done. And it's framed, and it's in my living room. And it's a constant reminder for me to look after myself. So that was my shittest run ever. Sorry to bring the tone down, but yeah. I thought about it.
Negative question.
No, that's good. Yeah, good one, Luke.
Good one, actually, Crush the Cargill. I mean, even
and
a
Luke.
broken clock is right twice a day.
Right. Kate the running lady?
Kate the running lady. If you could have anyone on your podcast, alive or dead, who would it be? Andrew McDowall.
Oh, man.
I'll go first.
Yeah, please.
You think Andrew McDowall.
Andrew McDowall.
I don't love to have Andrew McDowall.
Oh, guys, it's a pleasure.
Play the instinct.
Arthur Lydiard.
Oh, wow.
Arthur Lydiard. Love to sit down with the legend. I did meet him once. Took him to the TAB, actually. Had a big conversation with him.
Tell us that story.
I don't want to make this too long, but I went and caught up with him. I caught up. Andrew's got to get to bed. He's a sponsored athlete.
No, he doesn't. So are we.
I went to catch up with him. This was 2004. Walked into his house. Sat down, had a cup of tea with him. Spent several hours with him, and then he started looking at his watch. I went, "Oh, what's up?" He went, "Oh, can you give me a ride down to the TAB?" And I had to take him down to the TAB.
That is an awesome claim to fame.
It is. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, that's mine. You?
Matt?
My grandfather.
Cool.
My dad's dad, who was a very...
He was on the verge of going to the Olympics.
Yeah, he was. And he played for Tottenham Hotspur, and then the Nazis
Wow.
ruined everything. And lots of reasons
Thanks,
I don't like
Nazis.
Nazis, but that's one of them. And I'd loved... Because he died when I was 17, and I wasn't into... anything physical then, and I'd love to sit down with him now and just kind of pick his brains.
Yeah.
Because he was tough.
Yeah.
Tough. And yeah, so that's...
That's a good one.
And did everything. One of those athletes who did everything. So yeah.
Have you got one yet?
Oh, maybe. Well, I mean, it's after a minute's thought.
Andrew McDowall.
Maybe Jerker. Scott Jurek.
Yeah.
I reckon that'd be a mean chat.
Actually, we should do that.
I have been on the verge of totally reaching out to him so many times.
And if we do it, we'll come in studio and do it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. Okay, deal.
We'd fly him over if it wasn't quite so difficult.
Yeah, true.
So this one's from Amanda Rowe, and this I don't understand. I follow ultra running memes, right? And I don't understand them. So is vert real? I guess that's an. Is that either that woman who thinks that
She's confused after the physics episode.
confused after the physics episode?
Yeah.
So is vert real?
Well, I mean, personally, after last week's chat with Sarah, are finishing times even real? You know? I don't know. That's what I'm worried about.
Yes, vert's real. Yes, finishing times are real. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Well, I don't know either.
quite a
I
simple
don't understand
question.
ultra running memes. And there's that one about Anton Krupicka with the prophecy as well. They talk about the prophecy a lot, but I don't understand any of that. Steve Tripp, will you crew for Andrew Glennie at the 2021 24-hour champs? And I will actually say emphatically and on the record, yes.
There you
Yes,
go.
I will.
All right.
Oh, that question was directed at you.
Well, it was directed at all of us.
I know. They wanted to know if you would, Andrew.
I'd like to run it if I could. That would be nice.
Chuck him some stuff as you're running.
Yeah, I can do that.
Here you go, Andrew.
I'll hurl some abuse if that's what you need.
All right. Fran McEwen?
Post-run blues and ways of dealing with it. Just completed a big run and taken a week to return to normal. Is this a common experience and how do you cope?
Hell to the year. It is a common
Totally normal,
experience.
eh?
Yeah.
How do you... And
Very normal.
it's that thing about reintegrating back into your normal life and actually embrace it. I say go full into it.
Yep.
Like charge headlong towards it.
Sign up for another race. It's
No,
usually the way I
don't sign
deal
up
with
Well, that
to
doesn't
that
seem to
race.
make any difference. I've generally always got another race after that race.
Yeah.
And always, it is the sort of 3 or 4, 5 days into after
Yeah.
the race. And it is that kind of, because generally a race weekend is so special and you often see, either you see old friends or you make new friends or both. And the entire sort of bubble that you are in for that weekend is something that is totally unique to our community. Well, maybe not totally community, but it is a very special community that we're in.
It's intimate. It's an intimate weekend.
It's intimate. And then you're faced with normal life on the Monday and the
And
Tuesday.
then
No one
you get,
cares.
and then you get the photos. You
photos,
usually get the photos.
yes,
Yeah, the link
sure,
comes through
photos.
from Alan. Will send the
Yeah.
email through with the photos. And you're just getting past it, and then you get the photos. Oh yeah, the bluffs and
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's-
no, it is real, Fran.
It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it.
And my advice as a mental health professional is just charge headlong into it and actually reflect on the fact that you get to go back to a life where you can train for new races and do new things. And it sucks, but that's the payoff because the next time it'll be as special.
All right, Hamish.
What did Hamish say?
Hamish Langton said, "Are you still upset about the episode where you missed the 'We Made It'? Because I am."
What was that?
I
Kepler?
don't know. Did we?
Yeah, we
Apparently
did. We missed
did.
it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I feel deeply.
I like how it
Hamish-
didn't reference the episode either.
More
Just to leave
Hamish,
you wondering.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We need to go back through our episode catalogue and Anyway, all right.
So this is one, and we've actually had this before, and I'm interested to think why people think that this is a thing, because this has come up before. We have been legitimately asked this question more than once. This is from Andrew Glennie. If it came down to it, who would win in a fight between Eugene and Matt? No weapons.
That's easy.
Well, we're both lovers, not fighters.
Well, but I mean,
Am I
presumably
supposed to
it means.
answer this as a neutral referee?
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay,
what would
go
you
on
say?
then.
Yeah.
Eugene would win.
Based on what? I'm actually narcissistically wounded
you'd
by that.
throw-
You're trying to make him punch
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, maybe I'm stuck in the fire. I don't know. I reckon Matt would throw some
an Andrew Glennie
haymakers
player.
and he'd just get air and then he'd be out of puff and then Eugene would come in with the
no.
ribs and
Well,
all over.
okay, a fight, no weapons, but so
We
clearly he
shouldn't be
means
entertaining this question.
means a war of words, and your vocabulary, bro, is just off the charts, and so you would clearly win. You would clearly win. Or does he mean a War of the Roses? I don't know. Are you good at growing roses? I don't know.
I went straight to violence.
All right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Charles Williams, what's your next running event?
Wutuke.
Yeah, I'm pacing at Tarawera. Does that count?
Maybe a bit of that.
That's cool.
I'm on the and if I'm still negotiating that. So hopefully,
You'd like you might be pacing.
I've been offered an opportunity, and I want to deliver on that. But the next race I'll be running, and I'm lucky enough, I'm race directing Riverhead Rampage.
Backmarking at that.
Yep. And relapse I'll be race directing at, but the next one I'll be running is Wutuke.
What about you, Andrew McDowall?
Definitely relapse.
Yeah.
When is that? So that's
March 6th, Linda Raymond's birthday.
What is it? March 6th. Is it?
Hey?
Oh,
My
relapse.
mum's birthday. No, April
that's your
something.
Rampage thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Rampage. Rampage is March.
They're alliterative. Anyway.
Because I'm thinking maybe Northburn, maybe. Even though I said never, ever again, and anyone who knows me will probably laugh right now because I've said never again so many times. But just something about it. And when I was all injured down in the South Island, I was looking across the water and going, I need to get back there. And I've actually entered, highly optimistically, a 24-hour track race in June in Sydney. So we will see about that.
You heard about the New South Wales outbreak?
Yeah, I've been
going?
watching that going, oh, come on, really?
It's like every time we start talking about a travel bubble with Australia, sorry, Australian listeners, there's some outbreak in Australia. It's like, look, if you don't want us to have a travel bubble, we'll just stop talking about it because it seems that us talking about it brings
it's all
on
your fault, mate.
an outbreak.
My good friend Stephen Redfern is running his first ever as an event organiser. So got to get in there.
Okay, let's do it. All right, next one.
James, so James put me in the helicopter. Did Eugene really do the moose call at Kepler?
I did. To Dwight Grieve. Yeah, absolutely.
And I did one too, but it was kind of...
I didn't do the rock version that you made into a jingle for us, but I did yell out Southland. I'm not going to do
Fjordland.
it. No, Southland.
Fjordland.
Southland.
Fjordland.
It's Southland.
This is why Eugene will beat you in the fight.
Fjordland.
Anyway.
It's Fjordland.
Southland. Says welcome to Southland on the sign.
Fjordland. Doesn't say Southland. Call up the jingle right now.
Lachlan Smead, Dan Ross, if possible in 2021, would you make it to Australia to race Blackall 100 or the Guzzler?
Or UTMB.
Or UTA? UTA.
UTA, yeah.
I mean, I'd love to do. I mean, far out. I've never raced in Australia.
Whoa. Really?
So I've got to. Yeah.
I would love to go as well. And I'd actually love to go and do the Kenyani Mount Wellington loop. That would be, if I was going to do any, because I'd got to admit, I'd like to go and see the Museum of Old and New Art, the Mona, in Tasmania, but I'd love to do that loop. But yeah, I'd love to get to Australia.
Blackall 100 I've heard lots of good things about.
Yeah.
I mean, UTA, obviously.
Brutal.
Have you done UTA?
Yes, it was my first DNF with 9 kilometres to go.
I honestly didn't know that. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to...
Thanks for bringing that up. 91 kilometres to go and...
91...
Sorry.
That was a quick... You pulled the pin early, man.
I was at the 91k mark. 9k's to go and, hypothermia, vomiting, total shambles. And, it's one of those ones where you pull the pin and you 2 hours later you're sitting in your hotel room, you're eating pizza and you're going... I could go back there and finish it now, you know, and it was a real education for me.
Yeah.
I just like to put my stake in the ground now, and I think Eugene feels the same way. Like, I think, if it doesn't matter, if you can't go on, you can't go on.
Yeah, there's
and this whole school of you got to get an ambulance,
Yeah, but my last
jump in the
Northburn, I got to 100k and I was like, I'm absolutely done. I'm going to go to sleep for an hour.
Yes.
And then I woke up feeling $1 million and kept going. I mean, my time was blown out, but I was like, nah, let's finish it done.
You live, you learn, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway.
There you go. Have you done the Blackall 100 or the Guzzler?
I've not. No.
No, neither.
No, Coast
I think our friend Sean has done Blackall 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Kuna Kumar, what has been your greatest run ever in 2020?
That is so easy for me. So easy.
Go on then.
It's a part of a race. Does that count?
Yep.
Being serenaded by a recorder along the what do you call them? Not the mud flats.
Sulphur flats.
The sulphur flats of Rotorua. Yeah. I mean, how? Thank you.
I'll probably play
those and
that.
other tunes. Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. That was so special.
I'm glad that made such a mark.
Yours, Andrew?
I guess it'd have to be Te Araha, the 24-hour
That mission.
That was pretty chill.
Episode something. Yeah.
That was a great bromance with Tom and
Jeff.
And Jeff.
Jeff. Yeah, the apology the week after, that was not so good.
Actually,
It was
let's go
probably
on
not
the
our great
record and
moment.
say we played down that story markedly.
Anyway, moving right along. Matt?
Easy. Running with Rebecca, starting at like 11:30 at night, running out to the start of Big's backyard, running through the middle of Riverhead at night with the person I love the most in the whole world, my best friend, and
Magic.
It was
magic.
absolutely magic.
Yeah. I do remember too the first time I ran back in the forest after lockdown, the first time we could get back out there, and you and Seiwan and me were running, and specifically again, it's a fragment of that run, running down that hill. Are we allowed to call it the name of the hill that we call it? Bastard Hill.
Yeah.
The reverse Bastard Hill, running down that hill and just feeling the joy of being in the forest. It was a nice crisp morning, running downhill with your mates. Like, hallelujah.
And you commented, because I was lucky, and this is the thing, I was so fortunate, because it literally is my backyard, I was able to...
Yeah.
I just need to make sure it's still recording.
Yeah, we get so long. He's run out of tape.
Could you grab me another beer? Just running downhill.
Yeah.
And you went, I haven't run downhill like this for ages.
Because I've been having to run around my place, which is relatively flat.
Yeah.
And here I was running downhill, so I love that, yeah. All right. Nice. There we go. What is your bucket list race?
Andrew?
I've done it.
Which
is?
is?
It's boring, isn't it? UTMB. Well, it was. Yeah. I've always had my 3, and they've never really shifted. And Western States, I guess, is my bucket. I'm up to year 7, 8 or something of trying. And I mean, this year it doesn't even count. Yeah. There isn't even one. There's no lottery this year, so it's just rollover. So, which is good. It means my Tarawera from this year counts for 2 years.
Yes.
And Hard Rock, sort of.
Yep.
It's kind of a bit, it's just so hard to get into that I've kind of given up, even though I'm 6 years deep into that one as well. And of course, they're both in America, which is obviously not ideal right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others. I just have forgotten them.
All right. Matt?
I've got 3 as well. The Gorge Waterfalls 100K in Oregon, which is put on by, I want to say Rangeheader Running. Just looks incredible. You run underneath waterfalls and past, and it just looks amazing. And the second one's a road race, the Big Sur Marathon in California along the coast.
Cool.
That
Super
just looks so good. And third one is Redburn.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the hardest race to get into because it never gets run. The last few years have been shocking.
The last 2 years,
Sucks, yeah. Old Ghost Ultra.
Oof.
Yep. Western States.
Boom.
Love to. You can just enter Old Ghost, eh? Just
but I haven't
just enter it.
Things haven't aligned. You know, it's a bucket list race.
It's got a website.
Sorry, Jamie. Sorry, Andrew wants to modify your question. No, you asked. I'm Western States. Here's my dream scenario. UTMB as well is on my bucket list. Yeah. Only
it's quite hard, by the way. Just to let you know.
Well, here we go. Here's a proviso. Only if I can get there for the whole week in Chamonix and then injure myself the day before the run, so I can't actually run it.
Well, to be fair, it's quite a cool buzz in there. I remember
exactly. I'm not capable of running UTMB.
Just because you want to go to the bakery with your poles and your calf sleeves on.
Sorry, I couldn't run it. I did my calf at the bakery.
It's a good bakery, right? Right at the start line, there's an amazing bakery. So, but I remember, the week is amazing. I remember I had needed directions to find registration. I turned around and the first person I saw was Dylan Bowman. It's like that's just what it's like there.
That's what I want.
He knew the way too. He was quite helpful.
The thought of running the race just terrifies me.
Yeah,
but being there for that week.
Quite cool.
So, that's on my bucket list.
You got to do it, mate. You got to do it.
Right. So this one's directed at me. This is from Buck Runs. Did your soul leave your body when I passed you in the last 600 metres of Kepler? And I'm actually super competitive, and I must say, 100% no. I was so happy. It was a perfect race. Like, I was having my time.
He wants a yes.
No, but he's not going to get one, and he's not going to get one with heart and with openness.
He stomped home. He ran a good race.
He stomped home, and he actually, to his credit, he was like, "Come on, bro, let's go." And I said, "No, you go." It was great. It was so good. Like, he can have that. I'm good.
Okay. Ben?
Ben van Opzeeland, a New Zealand race which should exist but doesn't. A technical marathon in Riverhead Forest.
Oh, yeah.
Or a technical 50k. Or a marathon in Riverhead Forest.
It's
almost as if you needed a guy who knew the ins and outs of the forest.
If only there was someone who knew the forest.
Make a course that would make you shit the bed. And it would be amazing.
Would you run it in the middle of winter?
No. You run it in summer. Like, it'd be awesome. Like, make it good. Like, you wouldn't run
just
it in the middle of winter.
Just before it gets to
like
hard-baked clay.
Late, or you'd actually run it sort of March, April.
Yeah.
Which is perfect.
Yeah. I'm in the Hillary, which is kind of, it doesn't qualify because it was a race, and I love that race, and I hope that Sean is able to bring it back one day once Cody Dieback has sorted itself out. But also, speaking of Sean Collins, I love that epic run that he did around Auckland volcanoes. I mean, don't want to be all Auckland-centric here, but that's 3 Auckland, so it's pressure's on you to come up with something somewhere else. But that Auckland volcanoes run that he did a few years back, doing it in like a Race 09 style.
Absolutely.
Doing it like that.
Yep.
Race 09.
What does that mean?
Race 09.
So it's unsanctioned.
Fiona Love talked about it at Kepler if you were listening.
Clearly paid attention. I was in the room.
It's like Burley. So it's like Burley road running, basically unsanctioned road running, where you
basically turn up, you've got an entry, and then you have to hit certain checkpoints, but you can get between the checkpoints however you want.
I've got another one. Can I have 2?
Yeah, sure.
I would like, and you could have it in Riverhead, you could have it at Hanua, you could have it at Whakarewarewa, you could have it in any where there was decent downhills. Do a 6-hour race in the format of an enduro mountain bike race. So you get to run to all the different downhills in the forest, and only the downhills are timed. And you've got 6 hours to go, so you have to run. So if you think about
You're trying to come up with races that would not suit me at all.
No, but if you think about that, right? Like, so you run to say Riverhead, where you've got Baconator,
awesome.
you've got like Corkscrew, you've
Crybaby
Hill, and so you run and you can put them together. And this is enduro mountain bike racing. You put them together in any format you want. You've got to save your bickies to get to the top, and then you just have to like go hell for leather to the bottom, and then run to the next, and you've got like a certain amount of.
Okay, cool.
Interesting format.
Yeah.
Have you got one?
I think I just like I'm on Team Katie here for a 200 miler. Not sure if I'd want it round and round and round. Yeah, because I know Naisby's got their 200 miler. Well, it was supposed to be this year, but it didn't happen. But it'd be quite nice to have one that's not. I'm curious. I would like to go down there, but not a 10k loop. Just something that's a 200 mile loop. I don't know how we pull that off.
A rim trail.
I don't know how we pull that off in New Zealand, but it must be possible.
2 laps of Tarawera.
Mel's one sounds really interesting, so I'm definitely going to throw my name in for that one.
Yeah.
The wild, that does sound...
Because it's a single loop, which is pretty choice. And, I guess Tarawera is a 100-mile single loop, isn't it? But we don't have many of them.
No, we don't. Look, we could... Is that the end of our questions?
Yep.
There's a lot of questions.
That's a lot of
Good
questions.
Good
I'm impressed.
Idea there,
well done.
Andrew. Thank you to everyone who's been a guest on the show this year, everyone who has listened, everyone who has sent us in a greatest run ever. We love this community. We love having the guests on that we do. We're really grateful for that. And we love getting the feedback that we do because you guys keep us honest, like we talked about
Absolutely.
earlier.
Thank you so much. And we can't wait for next year, and we apologise in advance for the shambles that this has been. But you've got to give us one. You've got to give us one.
Do not give us whiskey or Perrier.
Can I say on behalf of the listeners, because I guess that's what I am,
an unelected representative.
Yeah, exactly. Just thank you to you two for the amazing work you've done, and obviously an extremely challenging year. You kept delivering, and I found it a wonderful thing to look forward to during lockdown. It was my Wednesday morning sort of treat. So welcome. Keep going, guys. I think what you do is great.
We plan to.
All right. Hey, let's quickly wrap this up by just a quick, how have your running years been, and what are your plans for next year? Andrew?
I think I've mostly answered that already.
Yeah,
maybe Northburn.
Yeah.
Relapse.
Yeah.
Maybe Sydney.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's something in the second half of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know yet, but it'll be busy.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Eugene?
Look, I mean, for this year for me, my first 100 miler, which was great, and then straight after that, crashed. I specifically remember the morning after the first lockdown being in the dark on my street just silence again, going, what the hell has hit us? And my running went downhill during lockdown. I had all this, plans to run and stuff. It didn't really go anywhere. Got injured and then had to kind of recalibrate. Got on the bike.
Sorry about that.
I know. Pacing at Tarawera next year. Want to have a good crack at Wu2K?
Can I ask you your pacing?
Yeah, Gene Andrews.
Oh, right. The shoe was on the other foot.
Yeah, exactly. Because when he paced me last year, I said, bro, if you're ever doing this, I'm there for you. And he made the call and said, how about it? So I'm in. I want to have a good crack at Wu2K. I keep getting asked if I want to do another Milo. And I don't know.
No, you
is
keep
the answer.
asking.
No, because I keep getting asked. I do keep asking myself as well. But
Every Saturday
keep asking
morning,
it.
it's like, Sunday morning we run. It's like,
I don't know.
Hey, Eugene, do you want to do another 100 miles?
I don't know.
The answer is yes, you do.
I think so, in the right circumstances. Anyway, Matt.
I guess it's all about set and setting, isn't it?
It is.
No, this year's been really hard. First lockdown was like I had the realization that during the first lockdown that if I could apply myself to running with the fierceness and determination that I applied myself to healthcare, then I'd be unstoppable. I faced a couple of existential challenges this year. I had pericarditis. I thought I was going to get COVID. Before I thought
How many COVID tests did you have this year?
4. Yeah. 4 thus far.
How was your nose?
Oh, great! Once the microchip goes in, like all the other ones.
Your 5G reception must be
That's right.
amazing.
It's amazing.
Is that what that feedback is on that?
Yeah, that's the microchips. But yeah, it's been fits and starts. I guess for me this year, like Kepler, I'm very, very average at running, and I was able to kind of, it's the mental thing for me. That's what it's about, being challenged, and thinking about, people in my life, thinking about my sister who got COVID when I was running Kepler. I was like, I'm tired. And then I think about Kate who, it just made me think how great we are here and, what a chance. So for me next year, it's just about keeping on.
Yep.
Building. Wu2K, hopefully get to, a busy family life, hopefully get to pace the Tarawera. And Wu2K, and then see where we go.
Right, let's get to Dan Jones.
Yep.
So, born in Whakatane, based in Wellington, but spent a whole bunch of the year in Kenya, which was one hell of an adventure. He has a background in multisport, and he's got a family connection to coast through his father, who was the first North Islander to win the legendary race. So Dan's a 3-time Kepler victor, and so that proves that he's pretty handy in the trails too. He's got Olympic aspirations in the marathon, and we're going to hear a hell of a lot more from this man, I am sure. But first, hear this conversation. Dan Jones.
Digicake Radio. All right, I'm on the line. We're on the line with Dan Jones. Kia ora, Dan. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
That's good. And you had a big victory at Kepler the other week, 3rd one in a row. How are you recovering?
Yeah, I think I was probably very much in a similar situation as everyone else that knocked out the Kepler on the weekend and pretty painful quads. Yeah, it wasn't loving moving around, but wasn't liking standing still either. So started back into the running, which is really good.
I can. Sorry, I'm trying to conceptualize and not to kind of gush, but I mean, you knocked out the Kepler in 4 hours and 5 minutes, or you locked the alternative course, which is still a mighty feat. How? And I did it in, say, 7.5 hours. I mean, how sore? I mean, I can't imagine being that sore to run that in 4 hours and 5 minutes. That's not really a question, that's just a statement. Sorry, it's terrible start to the podcast. I can
try and answer what I think you're getting at.
How sore are you?
Well, first of all, when people say the alternative course, it's quite important to probably realise that it is still, 50-something odd K, so it's not easy. I was really sore, actually, for the first 3 days after the race, or first 2 days especially. And I think it's, whoever goes out there to go run or race, they're going to the best of their abilities, and just like guys, at the pointy end of the field is going to the best of their abilities. So I think we pretty much all end up with the same feeling.
Absolutely. And I mean, gosh, by no means was I sort of decrying the fact that it was an alternate course. In fact, I believe that they're equally hard in different ways, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you were either, but I know, when some people hear alternate course, that's what they kind of think of. Oh, it's just, probably a walk in the park compared to what the actual Kepler is. It's completely different ways as well, which is pretty special.
Yeah, it's a lot more running, isn't it? It's sort of and the mental side of it too, going past those control gates, it just adds a whole extra element to it. It's not easy, is it?
No, I think probably half the field joked about wanting to run onto the finish line and do the grunt, which it would then probably be, but it is. When you actually cross those gates, it's somewhat a good feeling. Well, for me, it was somewhat a good feeling because I knew, okay, this is the last out and back. Go nuts, no matter our heart, and then that's all we got to do, and then we're finished and having a good day.
I wasn't joking when I was thinking about dropping it. I did it the year before as well. I just coming back down. I was like, I'm going to stop because. And I purposefully, had a lot of visualization, a lot of training around that first part, and just dark thoughts about. I think it's that psychological thing about running past where you start and having to go back out. But a couple of 100 meters into it, I was like, sweet, same thing. It's pretty good. Yeah,
I've definitely been in those situations and other races as well where you're coming back past that finish line. Especially if it's over halfway. I feel like if it's 3/4 of the way for a race, it can be even worse because then you are actually really starting to get into the hurt box where you're just, I'm really suffering now, and I've got to go past this finish line and then go out to a point and then back to it. And that can be really, really tough mentally.
Was when you heard, like we all did on Thursday, that it was the alternative course, what did you think?
I suppose it was pretty similar thoughts to the year before. I guess this year was a bit different in the fact that it was a lot drier than the previous year. So it was more so what the conditions would be like up the top is what caused the alternate course rather than the flooding in the valley. So for me, I was just thinking, well, as long as I can, get through the course and it's all very runnable, then it's actually kind of played to my advantage. I've definitely been a trail runner before. We'll probably go into this a bit, but I've had a bit of a focus on the road running the past few years, and then back. Well, I've also kept returning to Kepler for the last 3 years as well, just because I love the race. But it's one of those courses that probably suit me, where it's quite runnable and you can go quite fast on it.
What were you confident going into this year?
Yeah, I was pretty confident. I had a good race about a month and a half ago now at Auckland Marathon, and pretty good recovery, and then build into some longer training sessions up to Kepler. So I was really confident that I could have a good race.
Yeah.
Did you find it? You sort of answered the question I'm going to ask anyway. Did you find it hard to back up from Auckland? I mean, you ran 2:21 at Auckland for the win. Was it hard to? I mean, how long are you taking to recover from that?
Auckland, I actually probably had one of the best recoveries I've had after a marathon. I've found that in the past I've taken 2 to 3 weeks to actually be able to actually mentally get back into running. But Auckland this time, it was just so nice to be racing again because it was the first proper long hard race, due to COVID that I've had in quite a long time. So it was actually mentally, I was actually just ready to race again. I'm just loving the racing at the moment because, it not being on for whatever it was, 7 months, then you get amped, you get really motivated from that.
And I mean, you've had a hell of a 2020, right? Like you spent a good chunk of the year in Kenya. So I understand. I mean, how you were supposed to be over there for 5 weeks?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. And how long did you end up being over there for?
About 5 months. No, 4.5 months, 5 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what was the plan? It was just talk us through how that sort of unfolded. What your initial plan was.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of alluded to it before, is I've been concentrating on the marathon for the last few years. So the build-up and the plan was to have a good 3 months of build-up in New Zealand, and then I was to spend about 5 weeks in Kenya, like training altitude, really build up and do some really strong sessions, I guess learn a bit about how the Kenyans train, and there's actually a lot of other foreigners from all over the world that go and train there. So train with all of them, and then head over to Germany and race the Hanover Marathon. And of course, due to COVID, the marathon got cancelled, and I got stuck over in Kenya for a lot longer than what was anticipated. But it's just a big experience, so I tried to make the most of it and train through.
Where were you headed to? Did that side of it work out? Like, did you manage to get to where you'd planned to go in the first place?
In Kenya?
In Kenya, yeah.
Yeah. So I managed to get to E10, which is the kind of distance running mecca of the world.
Yeah.
And that is where I was based for that 4.5 months. I got to spend a bit of time in Nairobi as well.
Yep.
Wow. But it was I mainly went to Nairobi to try and get to the airport and fly out, and I got rejected. And then I've met a family that used to live in New Zealand, stayed with them for a while, for about 10 days actually. They were very, very kind and invited me into their home, which is, during COVID times is probably a bit of a risk on their part. So I was just so thankful because I was in a bit of a spot where, what do I do now? And then I had my second attempt at trying to fly out and got rejected again at the airport. And so then I decided I'll fly back to E10, get in a few more weeks of training, and then I actually managed to put together, I got the help from Flight Centre, and they put together a fail-safe plan, and they got me back to New Zealand.
Yeah. When you say you got rejected from the flight, what do you mean?
I got to the airport and I had a flight with Emirates, and I just had it on a couple different tickets, and they said, no, you have to be like a citizen of the country of your final destination. Wow. And of course I had 2 tickets, so they won't let me. But just how it is. Yeah. There are more rules and regulations that go on in those times.
Yeah, definitely.
You must have been quite worried being in a place like Kenya, especially when, there was reports that, COVID was really, really sort of kicking off over there in certain parts. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, so Kenya, and I think a lot of Africa actually didn't get the uptick in coronavirus cases like as early as some of the other parts of the world. So I saw it going on, and I was like, maybe I should try and get back, and then I left it too late because I think then the borders closed. So then, of course those thoughts go through your head. You get a bit worried. A couple of times, one time I went out running, and then I was stopped by a Kenyan runner who said, you got to stop running. The police are arresting all the runners because we weren't allowed to run in groups anymore. And I was actually just running by myself, but there's a lot of, I guess, the whispers that go on where you don't know what's rumours or what's not. And then apparently it was actually a group that morning had been arrested because they were running about 5 or 6 together, and that was not on at that time. Yep. So you just don't know how, especially as a foreigner, in a foreign country, you don't know what the reaction is going to be, and that was kind of the biggest concern.
It's all that unknown, isn't it? That sort of you're unfamiliar with the authorities and with what's cultural norms, plus throw on top of the pandemic situation. It's sort of it must have been a bit stressful at times, or just sort of unsure of yourself a little bit. Yeah,
and it didn't last too long with those thoughts were going through my mind, luckily, because then it became apparent that we were allowed to run by ourselves, or then it changed to you could run with maybe 2 or 3 people, and then it was fine. Yeah. Because a lot of the other foreigners left, and then because I'd been there for a while, it was kind of like, this guy's, you kind of become a familiar face. Otherwise, before that, it was like, you're a foreigner, you're a Muzungu, maybe this guy's, brought coronavirus to Kenya.
Right, yeah.
That's a serious thought, really. But luckily, you make mates, and they're like, if anyone says anything to you, just mention our name or whatever, and it was fine.
Yeah, yeah.
And how did you hook up with that family who'd lived in New Zealand?
Oh, yeah, so I'm from Whakatane, and they actually lived in Whakatane for a bit, and it was just like for a mutual friend that said, oh, this family's living over in Nairobi, here's the number, if you ever want to, catch up with anyone. And this was before coronavirus happened, so yeah, I just thought, well, this is the opportunity that I need. Yeah.
How's that, like in Nairobi during what was, the airports are shutting down, you can't get a flight out, and you end up with probably the only family in Nairobi that's lived in Whakatane.
Oh, yeah, probably. I'd say so. Whakatane's not a big place. Nairobi's a massive place.
Yeah. The big Whakatane diaspora living in Nairobi.
Yeah.
So in terms of who you hooked up with in E10, like were you in a particular camp, or were you with anyone in particular?
Yeah,
basically
so
just some name dropping.
Oh, no name dropping really, but they were a really nice family actually. It was a guest house, and when I first got there, the guest house was full with about 8 to 10 other athletes, and then the other athletes went home, and at one stage I was the only one there left with the guest house owners, Chris and Kara. Yeah. And while I was there, they had a baby. That was pretty cool, pretty special. I was, sometimes been over to their house for dinner, or they came to my house for dinner on my little hut, or not hut, but like little room and little kitchen. Yeah, like a self-contained little place there. So that was it kind of felt like you became part of the family a little bit, because you're there for so long. And it's such a community-based feel to that culture. So you just walk out, you go down to the restaurant, you'll just see heaps of familiar faces, just stop for a chat or have some chapati and chai tea. And you don't really get lonely because everyone just is so friendly, and you can have a stop and chat to anyone.
And when you're over there training, you went for this 5-week camp. So you went over there to connect with a coach or mentor, in terms of the work that you'd be doing, or did you have a build-up in mind that you went over there with, but the opportunity was just to train at altitude and get some quality sessions in with some really high-caliber runners?
Yeah, that's the one. It was more so just the altitude camp or training camp, I suppose, just really trying to get some quality miles under the belt and use that altitude adaptation to bring it back down to sea level and race easy in Hanover. Well, it wouldn't be easy, but you know what I mean. It's like
get the benefit.
Yeah, just really get that benefit.
And how did you find altitude? Is it the first time you've trained at altitude? Or?
Yeah, for the most part, I haven't really been to too many places that high before. Yeah, good. So it's at 2,400 meters-ish. The first, I think, what I'd say is the first week was pretty rough. The second week got a lot better, and then the third week I was basically able to be hitting sessions the way I wanted them to. Probably not quite to the same pace, but to the same effort and feel. When it came to hills, it's a lot harder. That's when the lactic, if you're doing a workout, that's when the lactic acid just comes on. It's like, whoa. It's really strange, because if you're doing a workout there, if you go out too hard on the hills, for me, it was like that could be the end of my session, because it just feels like I can't run anymore. I can't even hit 4-minute pace, or where I might have been running 3-minute 10 pace or 3:15. It's crazy how it hits you so hard.
Yeah.
And so you were essentially living the life of, and Darren and Finn, the book, Running with Kenyans. So you adapted to that life. You'd go out, train, rest, train, and that was it? Were you working as well, or remotely, or it was all about
So luckily I do some coaching, but obviously during the COVID times there wasn't many races or people to train up for, so a lot of people having breaks, which fair enough during that time. So I was really relaxing or trying to relax, because physically it's tough. You put your body through quite a bit. My biggest week in Kenya was about 220k.
Wow.
And that was when I still was targeting the marathon. And then afterwards, I think, throughout that whole time, I think I averaged about 160k per week, which is pretty decent mileage over that amount of time, and no real injuries. So you just kind of look at, you're eating the same food that the Kenyans are eating, and you try and rest. I'm not much of a napper, which a lot of the guys will come, like, do their morning session and then come back and nap to get that recovery going, and then later on in the afternoon they'll run again.
So did you manage to connect up with any other runners for those sessions, or for any long runs, or were you just doing it on your own?
It took me a bit, and especially when we were allowed to start running with small groups again, I made some really good friends who I'm still in contact with, where we had a bunch of 4 or 5 regulars that would turn up for sessions, and that helped a lot.
How was it coming home?
Good. It's a good feeling if you've been a little away from home. Like, anyone that's travelled always knows, like, coming back to New Zealand, you just realise how lucky you are, I'd say. And so just coming home, it was pretty awesome. But then, of course, you think, oh yeah, I'm home, and normally it'd be like just over the moon, but then you've got to spend 2 weeks in quarantine. And to be fair, our quarantine facilities are just great. You heard stories in Kenya where people were coming into isolation and they were trying to escape because conditions were just like pretty poor, very poor. And in New Zealand, you come back and you're in a 4 or 5 star hotel and you're getting 3 meals a day with cakes and real good stuff. I couldn't train properly, which was kind of meant my altitude adaptations just disappeared.
Right.
But at least I was back and I had consistent training throughout the whole time, so I can look at it like these miles are going to count at some stage.
Yeah.
Maybe they counted in Auckland Marathon, Kepler, maybe some races in the future.
Yeah. So I take it Hanover was the goal to run a Olympic qualifier?
Yeah, well, that was the goal. I was just going to go out as hard as I could. I don't know if I was in that shape, but guess I'll never know now. But that was going to be the goal. Yeah.
And so at what stage did you find out that Hanover wasn't going to be a goer?
I can't really remember now, but it was one of the last marathons that confirmed the cancellation. So that's why I probably stayed in Kenya for so long.
Right.
And it wasn't just like, I'll just bail and go back to New Zealand. But I'd only been there for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I just thought, I'll probably like underplayed it and thought coronavirus will probably, disappear after, 6 weeks or so. And it didn't.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, not to be glib about it, because you took a risk and but what an adventure, like kudos for actually sticking it out,
giving it a crack,
and giving it a crack, and you regardless of the miles you're running, you have experiences that you'll never get back,
and friendships,
and
that's right.
And that sense of actually just being immersed in another culture for 5 months. I mean, that's got to be so valuable. Well,
as you say, it's an adventure. I'll always remember 2020. I'm sure a lot of people were, but I'm still, as I said, keep catching up with some of the guys just through Messenger or WhatsApp, and it's cool to see that some of the fellas that I was actually training with have been racing again internationally. So they went, and I just seen they did a race in Spain, and that's awesome, because there were some actually hard times there during coronavirus, because a lot of these athletes are, running is their livelihood. Traveling, actually racing or pacing in different races all over the world is how they make their money and provide for their families. So during when COVID kicked on, some of these athletes actually had to leave ETN and they went back to their villages to work on the crops or other, just make ends meet, basically.
I mean, that's subsistence, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's what it came down to, is just a matter of living. So yeah, seeing them actually getting out and being able to make some money racing or pacing again is pretty awesome.
And I mean, you know, you've made the link from Iten to Whakatane, both in terms of altitude and distance. It's a lot it's a lot of difference between the two. But I want to take you back to Whakatane. Where did you get your start in running? Is it something that you've always been attuned to?
Yeah. So I guess my grandparents, both runners, marathon runners, and then my family just growing up and used to run at the Whakatane Harrier Club. So it was always every Saturday after soccer or cricket or something, go down to Harriers and race at 1:30 p.m. So I guess it's always been pretty competitive, and that was the same way growing up through high school, where competed in a bit of multisport and things like that as well. So yeah, I've always just done it. May not have enjoyed it the whole length of my life, but definitely enjoying it a lot now.
Mm-hmm. And you ended up at Eastern Kentucky, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So that was after high school. Went over to the States, Eastern Kentucky, for 4 years on a running scholarship, racing track and cross country over there. And that's an experience that's just completely different to anything I'd ever done before. You go from running and doing some racing in New Zealand where, you know, you might think you're going all right, but then you get placed into a field of 300 runners who all just want to kick your butt. And they just do. I mean, it's just from the start, you're just going for it, and it's just next level. It's next level competition. It's pretty good to get that kind of experience.
Yeah, it's the scale is phenomenal, isn't it? It's just the level of competition and just the numbers is just beyond anything we've got here.
Oh yeah, that's right. And you travel. It's nothing to just jump on a plane or jump on a bus and travel 6-10 hours across to a different state, and you race the big meets. And it's from, you know, growing up in Whakatane where we might have one of the school bands, and, you know, if we're staying overnight, we'll probably find the campground somewhere. But when you're over there, it's you're staying in hotels and eating out at restaurants. It's like, whoa, this is a bit different.
And you were studying at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's part of the I guess contract is you're studying. You got to keep up a certain level of like study or mark grades, I suppose you want to call it.
Yeah.
And so you're getting your degree, and then you every day you have to show up to practice at 3:30. Oh, okay. I'm just looking back at my time. But we had to show up at 3:30 each day and run out with the team. It's funny how you still remember these random little points, even times, you know, because it just gets ingrained into you. It's like 3:30, you meet in the locker room, you get changed, you're out for a run. Yeah. Tuesdays and Thursdays were sessions. Yeah. Other days were running around this wood chip trail, which is a mile long, and just doing loops and loops and loops. It didn't have the greatest variety of terrain compared to what we got here in New Zealand. So we got to can't take that for granted.
Yeah. But it was that industrialized performance, eh?
Oh yeah, it's all very, how do I put this? It's like everything is structured. Like you've got the coach. It's everything you kind of see in TV. It's a business, like, right? So some of the sports teams at your school are making the money for the athletics department, and then the money gets shared out between all the different sports, like cross country and track may not be the biggest sports, but for our school, we actually had a very strong team. So we were given a little bit of kudos from that. Obviously not as much as, say, the football players or basketball players, but we did all right.
And how did you find it? I mean, there's plenty of Kiwis have had a bunch of different experiences. You know, Nick Willis thrived over there. Ruth Croft, for instance, didn't do so well. How did it work for you?
It worked pretty well for me. Like, I don't know if I actually reached my potential in running, but I did enjoy the experience. Yeah, because
that's important.
Yeah, I think I had a good balance between enjoying myself, running, and studies. So I guess I could have put more importance on the running rather than the studies and enjoying myself so much. But yeah, I did enjoy it, and that's especially true for when I moved down to Texas. I spent a year there as well, and that was just a lot of fun. So then, but in saying that, I was actually quite burnt from the running side of things by the time I left university. So I just needed a break, and that's why I took up multisport, and that's why I got stuck into multisport for about 3 years. So multisport is the running, the mountain biking or cycling, and kayaking. And it was just having that variety of training where I didn't just have to go out and bang out Ks on the legs every day. It just meant that I actually found like I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the competition, because it's just not so much pressure, because the people you're racing are usually your mates, and it's always a good time going and race. We race in China, so we're teammates as well. It's a bit more of a team sport.
Did you find, I'm just reflecting on, you've trained in Kenya, which is, a really high performance place, and then you've trained for this kind of...
The collegiate system.
Yeah, the collegiate system in the US. What, in your opinion, what's a more effective way to do it?
They're both, they've actually got some similarities. On my cross-country team in the States, we had about 4 or 5 Kenyan guys, a Ugandan, and heaps of guys from Europe. So basically you're kind of put in that same situation where you're training with like a group performing to a high level, and that's what I think is the main thing that actually helps drag your performance upwards. We didn't have the altitude of Kenya, but we definitely had the quality of athletes. And it's one of those things where you have to go into your training sessions thinking, how am I feeling today? Like, do I want to push the limit or don't I? And in Kenya, I could judge that for myself. Sometimes I was probably pushing a bit too hard, trying to keep up with the fellas. But in the States, you've got a coach watching over you, and if you're feeling bad and he's yelling at you to go harder, close the gap, mental toughness. These are some of the things I'm remembering from back then.
Sorry for the flashbacks.
Flashbacks.
Re-traumatizing you.
Oh, no, it's all right. But, so back then it's like, there's certain times you have to hit or performance standards, which you didn't have to hit them, but, you're trying to do well for your team. You're trying to... You're getting told what to do, so you think, if I do this is going to better my performance on race day. So, but you do learn. You learn so much with years of experience and racing and training. And I think I know that now my body probably performs better with higher mileage and still hitting some sessions, but maybe not as many sessions.
So it's that consistent volume.
Yeah, because it's quite funny. When I wanted to concentrate on a decent marathon time, I just put together some longer weeks of training, and that's when I actually hit my fastest 10,000 meter and 5,000 meter track races, and that was just basically off base mileage. So, and which is kind of disappointing because I've just spent 5 years in the United States trying to do well in track, and just right off the bat. In my marathon training, I do that back in Wellington. So that's just how it goes sometimes. Yeah.
Did growing up in Whakatane help you sort of surviving in that really high pressure environment, do you think?
Maybe, because it's pretty like, you kind of just relaxed and, you just have to deal with things as they come. Well, I don't know. That's just how it felt like in high school. I couldn't really compare it to anything else because I only went to one high school in Whakatane, Trident High School, and it's good. I mean, Whakatane's produced some really strong athletes, so I'm not sure what the reason of that is. It's a pretty awesome community, and there's heaps of people just willing to give their time, so that could be one of the things. But it's a great place to grow up.
It's a pretty special part of New Zealand. Like, that whole area is just a pretty special part of the world,
Eastern
I reckon.
Bay.
Yeah, Eastern Bay. It's just beautiful.
Definitely.
Yeah. And multisport's pretty strong there too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've got a strong, as I said, like, a strong community. My father's done a lot of multisport.
Yeah.
Was the first North Islander to win coast to coast.
Yeah.
I'd say that kind of group that's, how the multisport club formed. There's some pretty awesome races in that area, and I'm sure. We had electives. We had good teachers in high school that just really promoted it. So that's probably some of the reasons why it's taken off.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
it's just imbued in the community. And how is that? I mean, I guess at the time when your dad won it, I mean, we still know today that sort of north-south, it's not a rivalry, but there's that southern kind of pride, hey, that the people from the other island come down. Your dad must have really turned some heads to crack out a coast-to-coast win in that time.
Yeah, well, I think especially back in those days,
Yeah.
he was working on an orchard, on the grapefruit orchard, and it's just such a huge advantage to be training on the coast-to-coast course, because you get to learn all the different routes and get to experience you just get really specific training basically, and to come down and win it was probably pretty special. I think I was bit of a young fella, so I can't really remember it. But
Did you go down to it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think so. I don't really know.
What
I've
year
seen
was it?
pictures. 96.
That's right. And did he get you involved in multisport, or did that just happen by osmosis, or?
Oh, no, I was always stealing his gears, so that's probably why. Wrecking his mountain bikes. It's always like, this bike needs to go into the shop. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah.
Just using this kayak. So definitely helped. And it was going through high school, because we had a teacher, Helen Dobbin, who was so good. She just took us around to all the different events, and we had a good crew of good crew of friends. We actually used to do them in teams. So I'd do the run, and some of the cousin did the mountain bike, and mate did the kayak, and things like that. So, and then we were just, may as well do that individual, or just kind of went from there, really.
Yeah. And so, I mean, now we've got, yourself with your multisport background, Sam Manson. There's a bunch of yous who
Western Hill,
who are really taking on trail running.
Yeah, and I think there's just huge crossover.
Yeah.
You can build great base being a multisporter, and then you can just go back and forth between whether you want to race multisport or you want to do a trail run or anything really.
And I guess that's the thing, isn't it? With that, you're almost, you're actively cross training the entire time.
Yeah, and as you say, you can build a great base even just by cycling, and then you come back and say you get an injury from running. Build it up on the bike, come back, do a few 3 or 4 weeks running, and hey, you're already back at pretty decent fitness.
Yeah, and like Sam was out for a paddle.
The day before. And a bike ride.
Yeah. Day before, wasn't it? So you can apply, you can train in a way that's not going to impact you too much when it comes to the running.
Yeah, that's true. And I think he also did a road bike after Kepler, and then the next day, what did he do? He did another 2 hours in the kayak, and then another 2 hours on the bike over Crown Range.
I knew Sam because he was in the Air Force with Nick Johnson, and they'd go out, because apparently in the Air Force, if you do sport, you get every half Wednesday off to do sport, which is a pretty good strategy, I think, if anyone from the health board's listening. I'd see him out in Riverhead Forest just doing these brick runs, or these brick sessions, and he'd come, I'd be waddling around, and he'd fly past on his mountain bike, really pinning it, and then 10 minutes later, he'd be lapping me on the gravel. He'd come down the hill. He's always just, I don't know what it is, just an animal.
Mullet flying?
Yeah, no mullet in the Air Force, mate.
Oh, true. Yeah.
You could set your time by that man's haircut those days. But, he was just always and so cheerful and just into it. Do you think that with doing multisport, the experience of having to just go hard at different sports within the same event, do you develop that attitude, or do you think that people go into it with the attitude and then have the affinity for the multisport?
I think there's some freaks probably that can just go into it and just be like, going to go hell for leather and just smash out racing off the bat. But I think, you can develop that mental fortitude where you just get stronger and stronger the more experience you get. Well, there's probably a certain limit that you can, start to realise you can push yourself to, but that does come with experience, and that's just not for multisport, that's just through any kind of sport, I think. Or maybe not even just sport, but anything that you kind of set your mind to.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, doesn't it? Like, skill comes from repetition and experience, right?
Yeah.
That's what you get. And speaking of, repetition, experience and building, I mean, what are your hopes for next year? If you had your druthers, I mean, what does your year look like next year?
Yeah, it's a hard question. Everyone keeps asking me what my next race is going to be. And
I'm not asking about races.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's kind of what's going to set me up to see what I'm going to do, I suppose. So it's like, I want to, continue to work away at the, I guess, the marathon. That's still my number one goal. But so next year it will just be the same kind of situation as just seeing what race pops up, and that's what I'll try and target, and building. Well, I don't want to sound like I'm as obsessed, but the rest of the life kind of builds up around that. But I'm also, I'm also coaching a whole group of cool athletes, so I just want to also see them do well. But
I mean, you must. I guess it's the thing, isn't it? There's the difference between sort of a dream and a delusion, right? So I might have a delusion, which is a fixed false belief that I'm going to get an Olympic qualifier in the marathon. But you've got a dream, which is a very reasonable, something that you can work towards. So there's no reason why you wouldn't pin your hopes on that, right? No,
that's right. And I guess reasonable is all relative as well. So I'm still about 4.5 minutes off the Olympic qualifier from what my PB is.
Right.
So that still involves a lot of dialing it down and getting everything right. So I think because I've been actually targeting the marathon, and I actually have not given up, I shouldn't say that, but I've put multisport onto the back step for now, and I've actually fully concentrated on running. And that it's been a while since I've done that, so I've been doing that fully now for a year, and I just want to see what that can get me. I haven't even had the chance to race a flat fast course since I've been doing that, so I'm excited to see what I can do. And it's also sorry I was going to say, it's also a matter of getting in the right field, isn't it? I mean, it's tough running out the front on your own in a race. But you need to get. I was talking to your dad actually down at Kepler, and he was saying how you basically need to get in one of those races where they're cranking it out, and you can get on board and crank along with them. Is what it's going to come down to, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. And Hanover Marathon would have been the opportunity. Gold Coast Marathon was it last year where I got my PB. It was a near perfect race where I was able to sit with the group for 25 odd K, and then start to work with one or two people as we approached the 3/4 to 35K mark. And there are races like that. I don't want to say it has to be overseas travel, but if we get a good bunch of New Zealanders into one race, then there's that potential that we could all push each other along as well. Is there talk of that sort of thing? There was that distance camp recently, wasn't there, down in Hawke's Bay? And I know that out of that there was a bit of talk about, how we can work together kind of thing. But is there talk amongst the marathoners of trying to do something like that? Yeah, there's definitely talk about where we think might be the fastest place to race next year. And I don't know, I haven't locked anything in yet, but I know there's Christchurch Marathon. That's a fast course, or it's a flat course. If it's run over, in the past it's been run over that kind of red zone area where it can be a bit, in a marathon. Okay, there's probably a lot of trail runners listening, and they'll be just like shaking their heads and be like, "What is he talking about? It's flat. It should be fast." But even just like if the road conditions, there's a bit broken potholes
absolutely.
that you dodge. If you lose a second or 2 seconds per kilometre here and there, it's crazy how much that's going to impact your time over 42k.
Definitely. I mean, you need to. Yeah, that's right. Even too many turns can impact you.
Oh, exactly. That's why. Yeah.
Think
You're
about
right,
Rod Dixon, into the New York Marathon, how he ran those tangents, and it's like you said before. I'm looking at your time at Auckland 2:21, taking 45 minutes. You know, at a slower time, I got a 20 minutes, 35 minute hour PB, like shaving 4 minutes off 2:21 or 4.5 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of dialing in, right? That is an incredible amount of dialing in, because how much more have you got to give?
Well, that's right, and I actually have to take 4 minutes off 2:16 because that's my PB.
Sorry,
so it's even harder.
Yeah.
But that's right, and so when you do take into a few potholes and things into account, you lose seconds here and there.
Absolutely.
But if we can actually have a good group, maybe that might not matter. We could still perform and do something special. And so whether that's in Christchurch or whether that's if some flights become available and we can get out and race without having too much drama getting home, then that's also a possibility.
I got my marathon PBs at Christchurch, and I do remember going up some judder bars feeling like they were a massive climb.
Yeah.
So Paul Charteris recently, Mr. Tarawera, he was speculating, looking at your performance at Kepler over the last few years, and obviously the speed that you've got, that he thought you were the first Kiwi male who's capable of winning Western States. Does something like that appeal to you further down the track?
It's actually one of the things that got me through my time over in Kenya was watching YouTube videos of some of those ultra marathons over in the States.
Yeah.
So I was really enjoying the Barkley marathons and who did some of those, like Jim Wormsley, Courtney DeWalter. Some of them have made some pretty awesome videos of their times over doing that race. So I've done a few ultra marathons, like 100, 150 Ks, and it seems like a good course. Hopefully, I think a bit of speed running is probably involved in that kind of course. So I'd like to do it once I've reached my potential in the marathon, for sure.
Yeah. Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, I know there's quite a process probably to try and get in and stuff like that. So it probably won't be easy, but that would be the goal in the future, is to race a big ultra marathon where, even Tarawera would be cool because it's a fast course, and I'd like to do one on my home turf.
Yeah.
But in saying that, it's probably not going to be next year or maybe even in 2 years, but it will be in the future for sure.
Well, you're still, what are you 20, 29, 30?
Yeah, 30 now. Yeah.
30, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of time.
Plenty of time. And sorry, because people always kind of talk, in no way, please, we're not saying you need to do 100 miler if you don't. There's no, I'm not saying, there's
milers aren't the be all and end all, but
geez, no way.
But it'd be pretty exciting to see you race at Western States, which has got a lot of running in it. So
yeah, well, it's one of those events that is just pretty prestigious, and I don't just go and chase those kind of events, but it would be an awesome race just to do. I think it'll be one to remember.
Absolutely.
And I have done 150k on the road in China, and that took me to some dark places, to be honest. So I think I know what it kind of feels like to be racing for, that took about 11 hours, and I started to feel broken about 120k in, and it was definitely one of those things that I was like, oh wow, I've done this. This hurt like hell, like this was next level. I'm sure there's other races would give me that same beautiful pain.
How the hell did you end up racing 150k in China on the road?
I don't know, just thought, I just got the information from some because we do that multisport racing over there. I got the race details. I thought, well, I'll give this a crack. And so I got back from the multisport scene, I think whenever it was, back to New Zealand, and I had about 6 weeks to train up for this race. And yeah, I went back to Whakatane, did a bit of running up in the Urawetas. And then one day I remember I went up in the Urawetas, did about 10 hours of walking around, setting trap lines and things like that. And I got back to the car, or got back to the car park area, and then ran 50k back into town. So that was about a 70k day, and that was the longest run or time on the legs that I had before that race. I think, you don't have to do anything too crazy when you're going out for these races, but as long as your body's conditioned to be able to run and you've got that willpower to keep pushing when it gets pretty painful, then you're going to be all right.
And how did it go for you?
Well, yeah, really good. I got second in the race, and I think I finished just under 11 hours or just over 11 hours. Can't really remember. Yeah. But yeah, that just was, it's a hard one. I was actually like I think I was the only foreigner in the race. Yeah. So I had my own translator, but she wasn't really like that fast, up to speed on how racing works. Yeah. So I was asking questions like, how do these aid stations work? Will I be able to get this and this? And she's like, let me find out. And then it would just be like a massive brain strain trying to get out much information. And so a lot of the foreign athletes had like people that they could hand them stuff at the aid stations, where I was having to fill up bottles, and they could just swap out flasks or fresh ones. And I was like, I'm at a bit of a disadvantage, but I only found out all this when I got over there. So it was just a lot of fun. And,
what an adventure. Yeah.
It was another adventure for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it though. Yeah. It's a horrible thing to run that far.
And on the road. That your legs must have taken a battering then.
Oh yeah, my Achilles was stuffed into about Kepler that year, and I managed to do all right. Yeah. Well, that was last year. Yeah, that was last year. Actually. Yeah.
That would have been good for your Achilles, or the ice bath that you had
on the course. Oh, did you arrange that?
Yeah, I think that's the only reason I was able to get through the course, because I was battling that injury right up until about a week before. I had to pull out a Queenstown marathon that year because it was too sore.
Wow. I mean, Western Hill and Mile Backhausen, they talk about these races in China, and it's that thing, and I suffer from that sort of egocentrism of the Westerner or whatever, that in other places stuff like this won't be happening because, I can't conceptualize it. But what was it like being in that field? I mean, you're one of the only foreign people there. Was it a big field?
Yeah, pretty big. They take their ultra running pretty seriously. Yeah. You get some pretty crazy people who start off way too fast, just probably like anywhere. Yeah. But I was quite surprised. All the big hitters in the field took it quite conservative at the start, which is quite a bit different than what I usually see over in China racing. Yeah. So yeah, everyone respected the distance, which was like well needed. It was quite a hot day, so I think it might have been high 20s, which is it's just rough racing that long and getting enough electrolytes and things in, enough fluids to actually sustain you and get you to the end. So I did get cramp at one stage, but you just get you get some pretty awesome things that happen as well. Like one lady saw me coming and she like ran from the shop. I don't know how she had this big bottle of cold water in her hand. I always just remember she was just running out. I'm like, what's going on here? And she handed it out to me, and I just took it, because you're allowed to take all this stuff, whatever, in China. It doesn't really matter I'm not sure what, some races have rules against that, but it was sweet. And I was just like so thankful, and it was just random. Like I don't even know how she got this bottle of cold water so quickly while I was running down the road. But I was very much appreciative. It's just, some real cool things that you just remember. Yeah. It
sounds like you really enjoy travel and adventure.
Oh, yeah. Most of the time. There's obviously some frustrating things about it as well, but you get over it and you remember the good things.
Oh man, and I guess it's that thing, isn't it? Like what you've talked about, like the thing that you remember is the fact that, the thing that, you did well, you came second, but the thing that you're buzzing out on is this woman in this village in China saw this dude running along the road, or city in China, could be a massive city, and came running out with a bottle of cold water and gave you a bottle of cold water, and it just made your day, and that's what you'll take through, hey?
Yeah, I might have passed out if she didn't do that. I'm not sure. So it's all these small things that I guess add up to a decent result.
Hey, that's brilliant. Look, Dan, we've taken so much of your time. I really appreciate it, and some great yarns in there. We really, really appreciate talking to you. We do need to ask you one more question that we ask everyone who comes on the show, and that's, Dan Jones, what is your greatest run ever? Doesn't have to be a race, doesn't have to be, something, just a run that really sticks in your mind and you love it.
Oh, I didn't know this question was coming because I have listened to the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was actually having dinner with Sam Manson earlier tonight, and he said, don't forget about the question. So,
don't forget to prep up. Oh, good man.
Yeah, I'm prepped. So, no, I do have one track, and I think we might have actually talked about it when we were down at Kepler's. The Toys track, it's about 18k loop around Whakatane. We start off Whakatane and you go off around the coast. We're about 9k and drop into the beach at Ohopi Beach, west end there, and then you run the final 9k up and around some real beautiful bush tracks that drop back into Whakatane. So that was always my good training grounds. And I remember back in the day, it was always, so if we wanted to go for a surf, my dad would drop all three of us off, myself, my brother and sister, and we'd have to run over that 9k around the coastal tracks over to Ohopi.
Right.
So that was always one of the stipulations if we were actually going to go for a surf, we had to do our run first, and it was always just go as hard as you could to get over to the beach.
Get the first
get in the water.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Fantastic. Hey, look, Dan, thank you so much for coming on. It was really lovely to meet you at Kepler. It was, and may I say too, you looked, you were obviously running so fast, you looked so relaxed and like you're really enjoying the experience. So, So, man, all the best for next year, and hope you have a Merry Christmas and stuff. And thank you so very, very much.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
What a conversation.
He's one of the most unpretentious human beings I've ever met in my life, and I want to share a little vignette. When we were supposed to get together with him at Kepler, but it was real busy, and we said to him the night before, we were like, dude, yeah, of course we want to get you for a podcast, but we don't want to interrupt your preparation. And he just kind of looked at us and went, what preparation? I packed my bags. And he'd already smashed like $50 worth of takeaways.
Well, no, that was the thing. We arranged to catch up with him, but the problem was he then got stuck at the takeaways because the takeaways.
And that's what he was eating the night before. Takeaways. He'd gone takeaways. He had chips, chicken, and rice. And he's like, "Yeah, what pressure? I smashed my. I packed my bags." And like he is one of the most unpretentious human beings I've ever met. So thank you, Dan, and what a way to close out the year. Thank you, Andrew, for having us. Thank you, listeners. If you've hung in this long, you can send an email to Dirt Church Merch and get a free medal from us. But look, it's our last show of the year, and you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and other podcast platforms, and you can download direct from the website, which is dirtchurchradio.com. If we're not where you want us to be, let us know. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us, and if you like what you see, please spread the love. It'd be great if many people heard this podcast, and for that we need your help.
Maybe not even this one, but look, don't forget to send in your greatest run ever as well. We love hearing them, and we know that everyone who listens to the show does. You can do that dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. Or you can get in touch with us the other way to get in touch with us is on social media at Dirt Church Radio.
Thank you to Andrew for having us.
Dirt Church Merch at
Dirt
gmail.com.
Dirt Church Merch.
Rhymes with church.
Does, yeah.
Beast Merch.
Yep.
Thank you to our sponsors, Scott Running, Further Faster, Spring Energy, Cieli. Thank you ever so much to our Patreon patrons, Wild Things. Thank you to Kieran, our editor, and thank you, Andrew. This has been amazing. We're having 2 weeks off. So this is the first time we'll be having 2 weeks off in a year. So Meri Kirihemete, we wish you a holiday season full of love, light, dirty ankles, and let's go 2021.
Ka kite.
Ka kite.
Thanks, Rigby.